Hello, everyone, and welcome to Final Fantasy Count Up Cast, your weekly show for the duration of our Count Up event, where we will be recounting, and it's like the fourth time I've said count now in the intro, our experiences with the Final Fantasy series as we play through it. This week, we will be talking about Final Fantasy VI. I'd say that's our favorites. Just let them chime in before I finish the intro. They're giving me the thumbs up on this one. Favorite of the main series. All right, all right. And we're also going to talk about, at least depending on how much time we end up having, the gameplay video for Final Fantasy 15. I know Slack kind of skipped through it a little bit because he didn't want to be spoiled, but we still have some things we could talk about. And I won't spoil Kingsglaive for you guys since I'm the only one who's seen it at this point. But let's start the show. Don't hate me for this, Mr. Handy. Anyway, I'm going to. I am I am one of your hosts, Michael Mr. Happy Poveromo. Joining me, of course, this week is tehMorag and Slackaholicus, as we have been every week. In fact, on their channels, I'm joining them. So it's like it's not even like they're joining me. I'm joining them. We're joining each other. This is this is exactly. That is what it is. Oh man. It's funny because on my stream, I don't bother chroma keying you guys, so I'm in a nice office, but you guys are in front of a green and a blue screen. No, there's a nice office behind me. Yeah, no, there's a great. Yeah. Well, that's I mean, it is possible. That's technology of colors. I'm colorblind. As far as I'm concerned, you're on the beach. That's how it looks to me. It's a very green and or blue beach, or a blue beach, but blue makes sense. That's yeah. All right. Well, the you seem to be having a blast with that one. Oh yeah, I know. Trust me. I usually harass the hell. Oh, I think they're saying I muted my. Nope. There we go. Okay. I had you guys muted on my stream, so they didn't hear any of that except for what I said. So days without incident, zero. Luckily, there's three streams with this up at the same time, so the audio exists. Don't worry, the
It's out
audio
there.
exists.
Just have
It's
to
out
find the
there.
right one.
We just have to find it. That's the key point. So anyway, this week we get to talk about Final Fantasy VI. Now, if I'm not mistaken, from this week on, it's one game a week that we will be talking about. It will be 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13.
I'm
Yeah.
fairly confident it is. Let me go double check the schedule.
Oh,
at
the schedule. Where can you find
ffcountup.com.
that? Oh,
Oh,
FinalFantasyCountup.com. By the
yeah.
way, Morag, people say that the live tracker has not been working properly
Uh,
on.
pe- I've warned people, and I'll have to do it again. You have to put
Okay.
FF count up in your title.
Ah, okay. I do, but I guess I don't have the space. I have a space, so I'll have to
It's one word,
do it.
FF
One
count
word.
up,
Ooh, I will
and
do
it's
it.
all good.
I will do it. There we go. At least everybody yells at me whenever you're muted. Okay. Yeah, so
Aw.
I believe 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13 will be the remainder of the week. And then I don't know what the hell we're doing after that, but
Actually, to segue us into what we're talking about, I know at least one of the things that I'm going to be doing for the bonus count up section, the limit break section, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to be playing through a Final Fantasy VI hack by the name of Brave New World.
oh, I know that. People asked me if I was going to try that.
Hmm.
I've been looking forward to it, and a few people in my chat have been talking about it, and it sounds like a really good idea. I
What's it about?
might. It's basically a giant character rebalance. It makes
Hmm.
it so that all of the stats matter instead of basically just magic for every character. It makes it so that espers are restricted to certain characters. I guess the espers themselves level up in a way, and it
Yeah,
changes some other things as well.
that sounds really nifty. I might have to look into this.
Yeah,
Yeah, Brave New World was highly recommended to me, and that statement will make more sense to those of you who haven't played Final Fantasy 6 after we get to talking about that.
yeah.
This has been an episode we've been waiting for quite some time, and we're going to be following a lot of the same sort of the way that the show moves along, but I know we're going to get on huge tangents when it comes to Final Fantasy 6. It's just unavoidable. The whole game sends you on a huge tangent half the time, especially towards the later half. So, first things first, Final Fantasy 6. It's regularly regarded as one of the top, if not on some people's lists, just a few people, not very many.
It's at least the top of the the Super Nintendo list for the majority of people.
Yeah, if not Final Fantasy 4, Final Fantasy 6 is usually the one that takes the cake. For me, it's all time. And I don't know about you guys, but playing it again reminded me why it's my all-time favorite. I didn't change my mind after playing it again.
No, I'm behind on the count up right now due to a lot of reasons. Thanks Comcast being the biggest one of those, and even though I just made it up to the point where Terra has run off to Zozo, and even up to that point, we have already seen a lot of the groundwork for the characters, a lot of the depth for them, and the reason that they feel so human in the game, and that's already gotten me super hooked on the game again right there.
Yeah. For me, as soon as just hearing the music, and not so much just the nostalgia of the music, but the quality of the music compared to so many other titles that have been put out so far. Even in comparing it even to the remakes of 1, 2, and 4 that have gone out, the music still is tip-top notch. It just has that special feel to it, that special sound to it, that just gives it a very unique touch, and just the aesthetic of it is just... It's really good. It is really good. And then seeing some of the brand new mechanics that they're putting in there, and the age-old question is who's the main character, ends up letting the player choose their own way they wish to play the game, right up until the very end.
Yeah. So as a reminder for everyone, what platforms did we play it on? I know we say it at the end of the episode last week, but just this is a fresh episode. I played an emulated SNES version.
As did I.
I played a GBA version with the sound hack.
Yes, I remember you talking about how the sound. He was just applauding the sound, but
well, no, the sound on the GBA version is not
awful. Yeah, I know. That's the funny part.
Yeah.
It's got great sound than the GBA version.
Yeah, the GBA version comes out and ruins it all, and I think it's even a little bit worse on emulator. So the sound hack that I got is a version that doesn't cause any frame rate issues, thankfully, but it replaces all of the music with the Super Nintendo version of the music, but not the sound effects, which is a little weird. Yeah. Going through the menus, I hear that clash of sound where it's this doesn't sound right. This is very off. But
don't worry.
Still totally worth it.
When we get to Final Fantasy VIII, I have a story about modding music. I told you before Slack, but Morag, you'll hear my struggles. Let me just say, if you're playing the Steam version, prepare for an earful of MIDI shit.
I was just actually going through and cleaning up the final goings of my FF7, which look amazing now, and I'm not using any crazy mods. I was actually let my chat even discover it for itself. But FF8, I was already seeing some pain.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. There's a lot of things you can do to help that game on Steam. A lot of things you can do to help that game. So Final Fantasy VI, the first thing we're going to talk about, party composition. Slack already touched upon how it kind of lets you choose who you want the main character to be. It doesn't say, hey, this is this character's story, although it alludes to Terra sort of being the focal point of a lot.
It really shifts characters depending on which act of the game. It starts out as Terra, and then it shifts over to kind of being everybody in their own chapters. And then when everyone comes back together, Locke sort of starts to take more of a center stage part, and then it kind of becomes Celis later on around the airship, and then she takes a backseat again, and then it just shifts all over the place all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's really good at doing that.
And that's a big thing that Final Fantasy VI is also loved for. Not only that, but the unique skills that they have, even if they do get outshined in the later half of the game. And there's also just a huge breadth of characters that you can choose from. Even optional characters, a pretty robust list of optional characters that you can unlock for your party. If I'm not mistaken, I believe the total party count is 12.
14.
14. There you go. Oh, that's right. I forgot Go and Amaro. My bad. When I was thinking of that just now. So which characters of the 14 would you say are your favorites right now?
Locke. He always has been. I don't know why. It's because he's a treasure hunter, because he's got a great character story. He's got great equipment selection, even if his ability is kind of lame in the game. Steel doesn't add a whole lot on a Final Fantasy VI playthrough.
No. Sabin's always been kind of my favorite, just because not even because of the suplex. I just liked him as a character. He always kind of did what he wanted, but yet still felt still had some remorse for some of his choices and how he was treated in some other cases as well too.
To go back to the music thing really quick, Coin Song or Terra's theme?
Oh, I'm gonna have to go say Terra's theme.
I'm gonna go with that too. Yeah.
I think so too, and it's because I'm biased thanks to the Distant Worlds version of it. The first time I heard the Distant Worlds version, I teared up really, really bad.
Oh, I'm just gonna say too the opening that happens. I don't think anyone can improve on it. I'm Setsuna tried, but they just can't. No one can do it.
No.
That opening is too good, and it's a lot shorter than I remember. Actually, I'm Setsuna was actually
Not on the PS1 version. It's not. Ha. Anyway, so for me, Shadow is my favorite. I love his dynamic, where you find out who he actually is and why he became Shadow in the first place. And he also is a character that has 2 moments of major redemption and one of them of major sort of sorrow towards the very, very end. He's a great character. But if I had to pick someone else, it would actually be the combination of Edgar and Sabin as brothers. I always take them with me through the whole game because any of their optional dialogue is usually, to me, more interesting than the other characters.
When he helps Gao out with his dad, so good.
Yeah.
Steven does so good.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite ones. So is there any of them that you hate using? And you can include optional characters in that one.
Cyan.
Yeah.
Strago.
He's so really,
I
but
hate-
he's blue magic.
I actually really like Strago, but I agree. I hate Cyan.
Grinding. It sucks. Man.
Yeah, at least in that game, if you get hit by it, it's a guaranteed learn instead of what we see in some of the later games.
Yeah.
Which I've always appreciated in 6. Cyan, though, he's just so bad. He's such a bad character. And he's one of the characters that apparently gets really strongly fixed in Brave New World.
He has a good story, but he is a
Yeah.
The switch tech sucks because it's the same speed the whole game. It's just like there's no reason to ever
The
use
speed
it.
stat doesn't
It takes
affect the
the
bar.
active out of active time combat is what it does.
I've actually tried a run. Actually, one of the teams I used in Kefka's Tower is a team of Cyan and then 3 characters who don't need to be controlled. So I'll have like Gao with Rage, maybe Umaro, and then Mog doing dance. And even that, there's just no reason to have him sit there and charge up his sword tech bar because the higher tier skills aren't that good. They're not worth waiting around for.
Like 3 is like the highest I'd ever end up going, if I remember correctly.
4, I think, is Quadra Slam.
Yeah,
Quadra
it's
Slam.
Quad
Oh,
Slam.
never mind. That's the one I was thinking of. Yeah.
And even then, it's like I could have.
It's like I just use weapons, just equip him with the Kazakiri or whatever, and have him wind slash or something. Or instead of that, in the SNES version, you can do the Wind God Gao build and give the 2 Kazakiris to him or something stupid like that.
For me, it's Gao. I hate rages. I really don't like learning them. I don't like using them.
He's my
and
runner-up.
he is easily the most overpowered character in the game.
Exactly. It's like I give him a slight pass because of how strong he can be due to, like, just get Cat Scratch early on. Get Stray Cat and Cat Scratch. Ta-da, you win.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
I don't like using them either.
can't stand him.
Yeah.
It'd be funny if I said I don't like Omaro, because it's like I don't even get to control him. So, Morag, I gotta ask you, did your chat warn you endlessly about Realm like mine did? Because I literally kept her as far away from my game as humanly possible.
Oh, you mean just like, actually, I purposely made sure I got the 1.0 version just in case it does crash.
What, so it'd be fun?
Yeah.
You can do
I
some
did it.
fun stuff with sketch glitches, man.
Yeah, you can do some cool stuff. So if it happened, it happened, but it didn't happen.
Ugh, I think I got the 1.1, but even then I was like, I don't know for certain if it's 1.1. You learn Cure and go sit in the corner. All right, that's it. I don't want you to do anything.
No, anytime she's in the party, I just spam. I just make sure sketch. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. Sketch.
From what I understand, Sketch is the highest likelihood of glitching when an enemy is invisible.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a handful of cases that it can happen in.
Yeah, and there's also, I think, Doomgaze is a Phoenix down. I don't think it's Sketch. I think that's where you break him if you use Revive or Life or something on him, and it does something to your game. I don't remember what it is. I think it soft locks it.
No, I know. Actually, this. I think this is the first time I've ever gone through all of Final Fantasy VI without using Actually, I'm using Magic Evade, but I haven't used any insta kills at all.
I didn't use Vanish Doom. I never use Vanish Doom. It's so broken, but I never use it. What about characters you liked? Like, we talk about characters that are your favorite, but those were characters that were your favorite. What about, like, we describe why we don't like using characters. Are there any characters you just like, I have to use this character all the time?
Zealous. Runic is too good. Runic is amazing.
It really can be if you know what to expect from
Until you forget you have it and you cast Cure and you're like, fuck!
Well, see, the cool thing is with Relic is, like, as long as you don't tell her to do another command and her Relic's still up and running, you don't put a command in, you just keep passing her turn up, and it's up all the time. So you just keep it sitting there the whole time. You can't run it, you can't do any spells, but it's an insta-save right there.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true for the GBA version. One of two things was happening. Either they make it so that when her ATB fills again, she has to redo an ability, like the runic status goes away, or they make it so that, like, there's a cast time for runic, so when I was selecting the ability, it removed the previous status.
If you see her kind of in her fighting phase, she's getting ready to do it.
She was just like standing. I don't know what it was. I have to test it out on the GBA version some more. But I actually died to the tunnel armor fight because
that fight
all I
is
was doing
shit anyway.
Yeah, it's a dumb fight. I died there too once because
So did I.
yeah, it's dumb. I hate that fight.
You think, oh, I just won't runic this one turn, and then it's over the entire fight.
Yeah, he ended up doing 3 spells right in a row, and then he did 2 spells, 2 melees, and then another magic. I'm like, oh, he did 2 melees, and I'm gonna die if he does a third. Nope. Didn't matter. I was dead at that point.
yeah. If he hits you with a spell, you're dead too, for sure.
Automatically, yeah. What about you, Slack? Any character that you had to use?
I've always been a big fan of Gogo, just because of the stupid versatility he can bring. Like a team of Gogo, Strago, and Sabin. That's unkillable. Bum Rush, 2 Bum Rushes, 2 Blue Magic users, or lore users. It's incredible. It's so strong.
Yeah.
It's just not fair.
For me, I'd got to say Edgar. His tools, especially early on in the game, they just carry you through everything, especially once you get the chainsaw.
It's so stupid how good the auto crossbow is for the first 5 hours of the game.
And then when you replace it, it's still like drill and chainsaw are both incredible.
Auto crossbow was still really good against a lot of mobs too. Like it's enough to like help clear a room, but not enough to clear a room. But it's just it's ridiculous. They are way too powerful.
I will say Sabin, while I love using him, Bum Rush is epilepsy in a shell. Like, I don't know about in the GBA version, but in the SNES version, if you use Bum Rush, it's like maybe 20 white flashes for the duration of it.
Yeah,
it's like,
and you use it every single fight.
And you're not gonna not use it either. It's like you gotta use it if you.
Funny enough, I looked into some of the game mechanics, like the actual numbers for abilities. Bum Rush has a lower ability multiplier than quite a few of his other rushes, or quite a few of his other blitzes, but it ignores magic defense, so it ends up doing a lot more damage most of the time.
Oh, yeah.
It's very rare where one of the other abilities will do more damage.
Orbital was a fun second one.
Oh, I learned this playthrough that Bum Rush, even though it looks like it's a melee spell, is a magic spell.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, all of his blitzes are, except for Pummel and Suplex.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
I saw you
really
equipping him with like hyper wrists and stuff, and I was like, Morag, no.
Yeah, someone told me, they're like, didn't you know it's magic? I'm like, no way. I go look up damage for him. It's like, son of a bitch.
Yep.
That's silly. It doesn't even look like a magic spell. Like
attack is a worthless stat in 6. It's really sad.
Yeah, because you're just using either magic or special attacks, and neither of them are affected most of the time. All right, well, combat, speaking of which we kind of touched last week, that there's not really much changing here. Other than a handful of ATB tricks, is there anything that you guys have to add, or it's better or worse than Final Fantasy V?
There's actually a few important like background changes that they make to the game on this one. When when anybody is doing an action, like if someone goes out and they're casting Ultima, ATBs are still being filled during that time, and you can still tell your characters what actions to do. That can be very, very, very important to take advantage of sometimes. The other big change that they make here that isn't present in the original releases of 4 and 5 is that you can swap which character you're taking action with if you have multiple ATBs full at the same time. In 4 and 5, you can't do that until some of the remakes add that as a feature.
What about you, Morag? Anything better or worse?
New mechanic was pincer attacks and side attacks.
Ah, yeah.
Those were big. I used those to run away from a lot of fights.
But I always really like too pincer attacks. You're attacked on both sides. You kill one side, and then you can run. So they even accounted for that, which was really nice.
Yeah.
And then there was one new big spell that was accounted for, but I forget what it was.
Life 3.
Life 3, yes, there we go. It's the first one where you can actually go and re-res your party before they die, which is nice.
Yeah, preventative, basically.
Yeah.
Just to think.
There's a handful of bosses that will highly abuse that.
Oh man, there's a handful of bosses you can highly abuse it against them too. That's I love one-shotting. Anyway, so the next thing that we'll touch on, then we'll go immediately into the story. So Final Fantasy VI is pretty often praised for this aspect of it, for the reasons that Slack mentioned earlier. Not only is each character sort of given their own time in the limelight, but they each have a real reason to fight, minus a full that you're just like, hey, come here, but those are optional ones. Like,
Yeah.
so
yeah.
you don't usually count them.
Mog is really just kind of there. Umaro and Gogo, of course. And
What are you talking about? Mog saves your life at the beginning of the game.
yeah, he saves your life, but that's not a reason for him to fight necessarily.
There's an
Not
army of
especially-
Moogles that save your life at the beginning of the game. Why do we just get Mog? I want all the Moogles.
He's the main spokesperson that can only speak English and knows how to
That's true.
control all the other ones.
He's a
Where-
fast-talking,
Umaro
slam
doesn't speak
dancing.
at all.
something.
Yeah, but the better question is, where'd all the other Moogles go after the world
Yeah, they
happened?
died.
He was still super happy about it. He's like, hey, I lived. Cool
Yeah,
dudes,
I'm
let's
still
fight.
here.
That's why he's fighting, because of all the other Moogle deaths.
Listen, if you
Question,
played Final Fantasy 14, Moogle deaths are just thank God.
Did you take the gold hairpin or Mog in World 1?
Mog.
Yeah.
I didn't actually get the Mog until World 2.
I'm probably once I get up to that point, I think I'm going for the gold hairpin.
Because you guarantee Mog later, and Mog's not very useful in World 1.
If you want his best spell, you need to get him in World 1.
Yeah, that's
I
true.
don't-
River Dance.
I don't think that Riverdance was his best one. I thought one of his other ones.
I think
like,
River Dance is.
Cave-In
One of his-
is one of his strongest from his.
I know the water one is one of his
Whatever
strongest,
ability
too,
set.
especially going through Kefis Tower. It's just ridiculous. Cave-In is also another really good one, too.
And then on top of that, one of the other big things is if you really like a character while you're playing through the game, you get a lot of unique dialogues for them. For example, if you have Edgar and Sabin in your party and you go through to the castle, to Figaro Castle, you'll see a flashback scene with them maybe of when they were younger, and that happens with all the characters. So this really gives Final Fantasy VI a huge edge in letting you enjoy the game the way you want, while also just having a huge explorable world on this one.
And I guess on the subject of characters, like early on, I talked about how you already see the seeds of these characters and their development start. And I think the biggest one for me, and it's part of why he's my favorite character. I love Locke, and his character arc as the story goes on is really tragic. Early on, he talks about, like, he goes around, he wants to save Terra, and then he finds General Celis, and then he wants to save Celis really bad, and he's always going out of his way and trying to be the hero to these female figures that he finds that are in trouble. And it ends up, later on, you find out that it's because there was this tragic past, a woman that he loved, that he was going to marry. She had an accident, she got amnesia, she forgot everything and all this. And even some of the other characters like that know about his past, like Edgar, they hint at knowing that he's doing something stupid and he's doing it for not necessarily the right reasons. And it's just a layer of character that we haven't seen in the series before. These characters have drama and depth, whereas before, like, say, Final Fantasy IV, it's this big epic story, but a lot of the character stuff is Kane's bad, but he's not. And then Golbez is bad, but he's not.
Yeah, it's very, very surface value. This allows you to hint at stuff before it actually happens with some actual real depth to it. And especially seeing a lot of like character emotions, like you see a lot more different frames that they end up using for each character, which was really nice. So added feelings like that was added to the depth of the characters even further as well too.
It's things like this that make me want a 6 remake after 7. Because I would love this game to be remade.
I would like a 6 remake if I'm happy with the 7 remake. Considering 7 looks like
That's
it's going in a completely different direction, I don't know if I'm going to like the 7 remake as much as I like 7, or if I'll like it at all. So we were talking about this in my chat a few times already. A 6 remake, I'm definitely intrigued by the idea, but I'm not sold on it just yet.
I am.
Once they said they're going to be doing in the same vein as what they did for the 13 series, minus that they're slightly different games, and then with Lightning Returns being very different. Kind of doing that style, like going all the way from Crisis Core all the way to Aberrant Children in 3 games, could be really damn cool.
And 6, while it's not 3 games, it's one of the titles I'm surprised they didn't follow up with any sort of story, but only because of the way the way the story wrapped up though. Like they'd have to stretch.
How do you continue that?
Yeah, they'd have to stretch pretty far to continue this one. Even if they want to do a prequel, it would be really, really hard.
No, the prequel could be
War of the Magi prequel.
Yeah, the War of the Magi prequel. Yeah.
Yeah. Easy peasy.
Yeah.
But one of my favorite parts of both this whole story is it is one of the only games where the villain wins.
In a way, he wins to a degree.
He wins because he goes crazy and destroys the world. Like, and then what does he do? He sits on his throne. He's won, and then he just zaps people every once in a while when he feels like it.
And that's another big aspect about 6. You know, a lot of people were introduced to Final Fantasy with 7 if they weren't introduced on the SNES. But Kefka is regularly regarded as a top villain right up there with Sephiroth, mainly because the argument is he won. That is the number one argument for him. And he's batshit crazy.
Absolutely bonkers. And if you don't know why that is, there's a character in what's the name of the center
Vector
of the
City.
Empire? The
Vector?
what? Vector, yes, Vector.
Yeah.
There's a character in a pub there that explains. I think that this is in both versions, but
Yes, it is.
That says he was the first Magitech infused knight, and it was before they had perfected the process, and because of that, it fucked him up, and he lost his mind.
Yep. And another thing that I like to think about with 6 Remake is Kefka's one of my favorite portrayed characters, even in Dissidia. I think that they captured the essence of his character very well, even when they added voice acting to him. Mm-hmm. And his expression and his sort of how much he even annoys the other villains with his insanity. I love it.
I feel like they go too far in the direction of, oh, he's a clown. Like, I've always viewed him as crazy, but like sadistic and really cruel. And a lot of the time in the city, I feel like he's more aloof and goofy almost.
I'd almost say that is his character though, and how far the viewer wants to perceive him as well too. And again, going back to that complex story, it's kind of like what Disney does even with their storytelling. You see the surface value, haha, that's funny, I'm going to let my kids watch that. And then the parents are like, why am I letting my kids watch this?
Yeah.
I always just loved his demeanor in Dissidia. And especially, they're talking about it, he's aloof. He's a guy who asked someone to take sand off his boots when he's standing in the middle of a desert. Of course he's aloof.
Well, no, I mean, that's like pompous and cruel instead of just like basing it off of, oh, look, he looks like a clown. He's got clown makeup on. I feel like it goes too far in that direction.
I dig it. All right. Well, speaking of Kefka, where does he rank on your antagonist scale?
Probably the best of them all in anything ever.
He's my favorite character next to my next favorite Final Fantasy game, which isn't a main series one. Yeah, Caius. Yeah. Goddamn.
I'm looking forward. I'm going to be playing the rest of the 13 trilogy for the bonus count up.
I will be too, yeah.
I'm looking forward to finally getting to experience Caius because I've heard that he's kind of cool for the most part.
He's a highlight of He's the highlight of the 13 series. One of the major highlights of the 13 series. He's easily one of the better villains that's come out of the series.
Makes me sad they kind of neutered him a little bit in Lightning Returns, but they highlight his other less
antagonistic
loved character trait of he's just a crybaby. in Lightning Returns, just that much more, and you get to live with that. Seeing how much, and you know what? Maybe I'm just being a little cold-hearted here. It's just he really loves his.
I never liked that argument against like when characters can't handle something emotionally. It's like they're a crybaby. It's like you go fucking deal with that. And
it's more of just that he's letting that affect him so much. Like you can see his inner rage, his anger, but it's It's kind of like, getting out of bed in the morning. Sometimes people just can't do it. And yeah, maybe I am using the word crybaby, and it might be used more as a negative in this. But what else? How would you say it? For
I guess
someone that is
I'm
so
thinking more of
emotionally
like
strong.
hope. I'm thinking of like how Hope ends up acting
Well,
at
and
13
all
and
right, see,
whatnot.
I went as soon as you mentioned all that. I was like, the thing is with Hope, the reason I don't like him as a character is because, yeah, his mom died and all this, and I get that he's going through a
Yeah, his
lot.
mom died. What else?
But his mom is dead. That's terrible. I feel sorry for him, but that doesn't mean that I care about that. I don't want to see that as a character in my game. I don't want to experience that.
Sad face.
That's the problem I have with it.
Okay,
It's not that
fair.
it's bad writing. It's accurate. It's just that it didn't have any place in Final Fantasy 13.
Sad face. Sad face. Well, when we get to 13, I'm sure we'll have plenty.
Yeah,
to say
Hope was
about
pretty
that.
sad face. After his mom died, self high five. Got him.
That's high five. Are there any parts of the story of 6 we didn't like?
Some of the side quests were a little silly for the character building, but it works.
Cyan really takes a back seat after it feels like he's got this big, important adult thing. Like
Cyan's got a really weird side quest. The
No.
drone.
the side
Cyan-
quest for him too is really weird. Yeah, his whole thing goes from this extremely tragic moment of his family dying and him watching them go into the afterlife,
Which is
and then
great.
he's just done. That's
They
it
just
for his
want-
character until
just
they're like,
wanted
"Ha ha, he doesn't know machines."
They just really wanted to get that Three Stooges reference in there.
Yeah. I mean, because then he's writing letters. He's pretending to be somebody writing letters because he doesn't want them to know the truth. And then you go into the dream world. And it's like, what are you doing? What?
No, I keep forgetting that the letters is Cyan and not Locke, because it makes more
I
sense
always-
with
yeah.
Locke.
Yeah,
Like, just as a character wise, he's trying to help other people, whereas you don't really see, you could see like why Cyan does it, because he's just doing what he can in the world at his current time.
it's a
Like-
really noble thing for him to be doing.
Yeah, but I guess like that's where it mixes
Sort
a
of.
little bit with Locke's character. It's just like, well, where's the line draw? Like, if you're trying to create individual, unique characters, like if anything, I would have loved to seen Cyan, like, roaming the world, like, with his sword being dragged behind him, and he's
Cyan should have been at the Coliseum.
Yeah, I agree. But then that mixes
Shadow.
with Shadow then. So what makes Shadow unique then for that?
Yeah.
Shadow
Yeah.
should have been off somewhere else doing something else.
And that's where if
Well, he
you end up
was, but
yeah, and that's where like Shadow has like a 3-part story. First off, you have to save him.
Yeah.
You have to then find him in the Coliseum, and then you learn about his past if you follow up with everything else. It's just like too many parts to see who Shadow is, but it's his character. He's part of the night.
yeah, he's super mysterious and runs away in the most inopportune times. I literally ran from battles. I'm like, no, you're staying with me.
Oh yeah,
I
did that
I got to that
for-
point.
yeah.
He was with me for like 4 or 5 battles, and I was like, all right, I got to start running from these. I've pushed my luck enough. Let's make it to the train.
Yeah, essentially. Imagine if he somehow got off. It's like, you cannot leave the train, Shadow. We're here. We're stuck.
He's like, I'm going to go to the back of the train and wait.
It'll pull up eventually. I'm sure you
Bye.
guys will stop it.
And then he could fight his way out from the afterlife world and come back to you. How cool would that be?
It's almost a little
maybe.
symbolic that he ends up on a train to the afterlife, because it's kind of what he eventually does anyway. Sort of his mission, or his just where he kind of settles his mind. So it's kind of symbolic that he ends up on the train if you get him to that point.
Trying to think of any other parts of the story I don't like. It's a little drawn out with Celis on the island.
No, man, you gotta
On
save
Solitary
Sid.
Island.
You
I
gotta
saved
save
him. I saved him. You know what
I-
was bullshit? When you save him, nothing important happens.
Nothing changes.
You get true
That's
ending.
also really dumb.
You get the true ending, an extra little scene with him
You
walking
know what
around.
happens? If you leave and you get every party member, you do everything else, you still go back to him, he still says the very last thing he said to you when you left the
That
island.
does suck. That does suck.
He's not like, oh, you found your friends and you've
Yeah, I
done
hated that when I was younger too.
He's like, thanks for the fish. And that guy eats a lot of fish. Like,
Yes.
He really goes at it. Do you think there's a big time lapse there?
I think it's a day
For
of
being
fish.
on the island.
I feel like every
yeah.
fish you feed him is like a day.
Yeah, because every time you talk to him, it refreshes the fish pool. So I'm thinking like you're there for like a month trying to like nurse him back to health.
Yeah.
I guess the other thing that I get two things that I hate. One is because I couldn't figure it out as a kid. The first 1 or 2 times I played through the game, I didn't know where the hell Tara was in the World of Ruin. I couldn't find her. I was like, I kept going back to that city, and I was like, she has to join the game again, right? Like, she's kind of the main character.
Yeah, you're just talking to her while she's laying in bed after the first fight with the friggin' fat thing.
Fumbaba.
Yeah, Fumbaba, who's not fun at all.
No.
And you're just like,
hello, world to save.
come on, join my party again.
Go.
Come on, but think about all the kids.
Fuck the kids.
And then
There's
the
two
other
other
one.
adults there. They're fine.
So you guys are some of the other people where like, screw saving the women and children. I'm getting on this boat off of here.
They could have came with us if they were so afraid. Like, they didn't have to stay in that village.
The other story point that I think everybody will agree on, General Leo dies.
Yeah.
I just want him in my party because Shock is so cool, and he looks great with that coat. But from a storytelling perspective, I get it. It helps cement Kefka as an uber douche, but I still want him on my party.
Yeah.
And I don't want to have to do the glitch of teleporting back to the World of Ruin or World of Balance to do it. So,
yeah, that's the whole Leo story arc is so kind of well done for what it is. Seeing what he is in one of the sub stories with Locke, and then seeing him go all the way up. You know, he's starting to see what Self stands for, and then he's just like, yeah, let's do this, and then just.
yeah, there's all this buildup of him being this really good guy, and then the Empire's kind of falling apart, and he's like, Kefka's a dick, I'm going to kill him. And then you get to control him, and he has a battle sprite and everything, and you're like,
Yes.
this is awesome, this guy rules! And then he dies.
Yeah.
Right away.
Immediately.
But anytime Kefka kills someone, I love the screen just goes red.
Yeah.
Red everywhere. It's awesome. I love it.
And he literally jumps on him and, like, stabs him in the back, too.
Yeah.
Like, it's pretty brutal, and I would love to see that in a remake. Anyway,
all of Kefka's like murders are just amazing. How they happen on screen. It's so
well,
good.
I like his Gestalt one the most.
Yeah,
Kick the body off the floating continent. Such a good moment.
This was another thing that's actually unique to this series is storytelling within the battle scene.
Right.
Like actual characters moving around in the battle scene.
Yeah,
Especially-
I think the closest thing you have to that otherwise is like Gallo fighting Exdeath at the very end, or maybe the scene with Gold.
0 HP. And,
Yeah.
Yeah, they're kind of pre-scripted events
Yeah,
of
with Bella.
pre-scripted battles, whereas these are like actual different
Story.
battle events.
stories, like characters moving around doing stuff, like, you know, with Sabin trying to go and blitz freaking
I can't remember his name either. Yeah.
squid face
Ultros.
Ultros in the water.
Razor
And he's
Slack
like, I
loves
can't
chat.
this.
I like when you get Realm and you have the scene with Ultros where it's like, you're a mean octopus, and he's like, okay, I'll let you draw me.
I like how they're all like, no, don't do that. Don't sketch him.
Well, no, they're all trying to get him. It's whenever she threatens to sketch a party member, they go, no, don't.
Oh, is that what it was? Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
That's at the
I thought it
end
was with the Ultras.
That's when like the game feels like it's wrapping up, and you're just and everyone's like, ha 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 ha! You want to sketch Sabin, the muscle head? Ha 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 ha!
She's like, don't make me draw you.
And then it fades out, and then it fades into Kefka being an asshole. You're
Actually,
like,
this is speaking of the FF6 remake thing. This kind of goes back to that. My chat and I talked about it because I got to the fight where you recruit Gao, and so then him and Sabin wrestle, and them wrestling is them just standing close together and hopping around.
Yeah.
And it's like, I get that there's something going on there, but on the screen it just looks like a couple things
How do you
hopping
feed
around.
him dried meat in the remake? Does he just walk up to you and beg you for the meat?
no man, you just throw it at
That's
his.
lewd.
No, I can imagine like Gao as like this like crazy kid in a remake. Like if they do nice 3D remake, you'd end up having to like live in battle, like throw a
Once I throw up around Slack,
Like a baby bird, like you regurgitate it up for him.
open
He
your
just
mouth, let him
squeezes
eat
it.
it out of it.
and he starts munching on it, and then he challenges Sabin. Like Sabin comes like, this kid doesn't seem so bad. It might kick him, and then that's when like the fight happens, and they have like a quick little bout for like maybe 2 minutes while like Cyan just stands there being like, "What the hell's going
Oh
on?"
my god, Realm in a remake. She'd have to sketch all the things in the remake. That would be ridiculous. Oh man. So Final Fantasy VI, we're getting into like all these different story elements we like, but one of the big things is that Final Fantasy VI is very traditional in terms of its leveling system on the surface. It gets more in depth, but on the surface, it's hey, I'm level 1. I get experience points at the end of every fight, and that's all you see for like a good 4 hours of the game. Is this like old
Probably a
soul.
little longer.
Yeah.
Saban's chapter is way longer than I expected it to be. I'm around the 5 or 6 hour mark now, and I just finished Terra running off.
Yeah, Saban has like 4 major points in his
It's
story.
insane.
Versus
how long
It's
it
ridiculous compared to the other two, because it's like, oh, here's Terra and Edgar and Bannon's
Terra
story.
is literally
that was 5 minutes,
like 4 minutes, and then
Yeah.
Locke is, if you know what you're doing, no more than 10 minutes.
15 or something.
Yeah. It's insane how short the other two are compared. And the other two are very gimmicky, sort of. Whereas
Saban's is an
very-
actual gameplay story.
it's very traditional, yeah. But later on in the game, what happens is you get espers, and if you equip an esper, you start getting AP, which allows you to learn spells, and you also get bonus stats per point if you have for certain espers, like +1 strength per level up, or 10% more HP per level up,
+1 speed.
+1 speed. I got rid of Odin immediately and
Really?
went straight to Raiden because
Yeah.
Raiden. What spell does Raiden learn?
Meteor.
Quick.
Quick! No! Meteor came from Banner.
Yeah. Oh,
He learns quick.
Yeah.
And after Final Fantasy V, I know I know the right decision. Let's just say that after quick in Final Fantasy V, there's no way I'm not using it. Because guess what you could do with Sabin? Quick, bum rush, quick, bum rush, quick, bum rush. And every boss just falls over dead. And it's amazing. So how much leveling did you guys do prior to getting espers? I know, Slack, you're currently working on it, but I
yeah.
still have a rough
I'm around
idea of
level 12 for everybody.
Okay.
So I've been running from a lot of fights. I've been avoiding some of the fights in general, just going through things as fast as I can. Not just for the espers, but for just trying to get through the game fast. But yeah, I'm looking forward to taking advantage of the esper growth system later on.
Yeah, I didn't. I'm not taking advantage of it all this time. I just said if I have a quip, I have it equipped. Not trying to put any certain stats on anyone. I did show up under-leveled to the floating continent, and that took a few run-throughs of the floating continent to be able to actually survive it a little bit. And then I think I've been on track for the rest of the game. But I knew a little bit how to abuse said good stats, Magic Evade, so then you don't die at all.
What level are you?
Did you guys do any Entanger farming?
No.
No.
Did not.
Actually, I have my fight up right now. It's currently just fighting a extra bad duder inside of Kefka's tower, a landworm, and I can find out what my level is here in just a second.
Sure. Yeah, I think I was level 33 when I finished the game, or something like that. After Final Fantasy like 4, I just stopped leveling. Like I just beat all the games in like the level 30 range. It's way more fun that way. Except for 7, where it's like super easy to accidentally be like level 50.
Yeah.
By the final dungeon.
I'm going to be doing the bonus content since I'm doing the GBA version, so I'm going to have to level up later on.
Yeah.
And I'm probably going to farm up Brachiosaurs for a few economizers. Don't worry, I'm going to have ribbons before I go into the fight.
That's why I didn't want to use Vanish. I was like, if I'm not using Vanish Doom, I'm not fighting Brachiosaurs.
Yeah.
That's
The last time I played through the game as well, those were the only things I used Vanish Doom on because fuck them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what level, Morag?
33 to 39. Because I ended up having Edgar in my party the entire time, so...
That's what happened to me. He was 42 when I finished the game, I think. Way higher than everyone else.
But it was really funny because I ended up using like as soon as I had access to getting Mog in the world of Rune, I ended up going through and having him in the main party. Not like just as a shit character, so I could never have Moogle Charm.
So funny thing about
Moogle
Mog,
Charm OP.
Mog is actually incredibly powerful with almost no leveling. If you give him a lance, you give him Dragoon boots, and you give him one of the other items that makes jump continuous, so he does it like multiple times in a row.
Dragon Horn.
Dragon
You
Horn.
have to. Can you just have the horn equipped? I thought that also gave you jump.
I'm not sure. I
Okay.
equipped both. Maybe it does. I didn't level him once the entire game, and by the time I got to Kefka's Tower, he was one of my powerhouses. He was jumping on targets for 4K a hit with just a powerful. I didn't know like that was gonna happen. He was just a powerhouse for some reason. And
That's your first problem though. You're fighting battles with Mog. Even though he is really strong, you can just run around with him and do nothing.
Well, funny thing about that. So I grabbed Mog, and I was so excited to get Umaro, I just didn't grab the charm, and I'm like, I'm not going back. I'm just not going back for it. I was like, everyone's like, oh, why didn't you get the charm? I was like, yeah, that's my bad. I couldn't think of a better way to put it. That's my bad.
Actually, what I really enjoyed was having the magic tower. Something that's very unique to the game is like it's all about magic, and then you go to the Fantastic Tower or Fanatic Tower.
I thought you called it Fantastic Four Tower.
Fantastic Tower.
Fantastic Tower.
Use magic. They lock out every other command, well, except for items. But you can only use magic, and I thought that was something that was really cool, even as a kid, seeing that. And as a kid, I went through that tower painfully. But every time after that, I've always used Mog in the party just to get past that whole climb.
Yeah.
But it was one of the coolest additions to the series from what I can remember.
Question about Umaro. Does he just do nothing in there, or does he still berserk his way through?
No, he can do anything in there.
Berserk, yeah.
Okay.
You can berserk your way past the magic requirement.
I guess berserk's considered a spell. So
berserk is a spell, and then they're uncontrollable at that point. Yeah. They just do what they do.
Okay. Yeah, so the berserk script overrides the magic only script.
It's actually how you beat some of the well, it's one of the ways to beat the main boss on there is that you berserk the last boss of the tower, and then he doesn't change his weakness, and then you can just scan him and figure out his weakness, and then you just have perfect dodge, and then you're good to go.
Hey.
One interesting note about Umaro, as a matter of fact, when I was looking up some of the information on how the mechanics of the game work. Turns out that I think the Rage Ring, the thing that allows him to throw people, he will prioritize allies that are confused or muddled, I should say, or asleep. And when he throws them, it fixes the status on them.
That's
really small detail added to it that you'll almost never get to take advantage of.
Yeah, Umaro is Umaro, after all.
A real useful character.
Well, one of the reasons why I even found out Mog was as strong as he was because at a lot of the points of the game you do have to split up the party. Some of them are the story elements that are early on where it's predetermined, but there are also some points in the World of Ruin where you have to make your own parties out of whatever party members you have.
How is this mechanic not in more Final Fantasies?
I wish that was in more games. I wish they used it more here. Even if it was a little bit of a pain to unequip and re-equip parties and whatnot, if you want to have like the best gear for everyone. It's just too much fun.
Yeah. And it's actually kind of cool if you try to just make the best party you can out of what equipment you have instead of min-maxing it. I've found that to be pretty interesting before.
Never felt bothersome?
It's annoying sometimes because you can have characters that are so much weaker and you're like, well, I got to make a party out of them somehow. I got to do something with them. Overall, though, like the mechanic is genius, and really, I don't know how it's not used more often. I feel like this could be used in Record Keeper because we have so many relics on some people that I could easily make an A team, a B team, and a C team, and this mechanic needs to return in more Final Fantasies. I really don't know how they don't do more with it. Final Fantasy VII could have pulled it off. You have enough characters there for it. Final Fantasy IX could have been a lot of fun with that. It's so good.
I've now seen what you've done, by the way, Morag, on your stream.
Oh.
I've now seen it. Thank you, Mel, for linking that in my chat. Took an image of it. Now, if only it flew across the screen, it'd be even better.
It would have to be done by hand, just
like that. Yeah, yeah, exactly like that.
It just feels like it's a speeding bullet now. Anyway,
speeding bullet. Anyway, how much optional content did you guys do? Because even though I don't really feel like 6 is super optional content heavy, technically the entire second world is a giant optional content world. Since you only need the minimum of 3 party members, technically.
You only 3 people to beat the entire game if you can beat.
If you're a fucking god. How about that? Or you leveled to 99 on all 3 of them.
Yeah.
And they all have ribbons, maybe. That's about the only other way I see it being possible.
I have yet, actually, no, I've used a ribbon once because I uncursed the cursed shield to get the paladin shield.
Oh, you sick bastard.
I did that. It was really fun counting with chat to go and unlock it. But other than that, though, I haven't put a single ribbon on yet.
Speaking of the shield, I gotta ask you guys, sword or esper?
Sword.
Sword. You can turn it in at the Coliseum for the Illumina. You've got to do it, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
The Illumina is, if I recall, some consider it worse because it doesn't have the what's the name of the spell on hit?
Pearl.
Pearl. It doesn't have Pearl on hit. It has Flare on hit, which is debatably worse against some bosses.
Yeah.
So I remember
for bosses that can absorb it, it is worse. But overall, like the stats on it are much better. I don't even know if Ragnarok gives you any stat up. I think it's +5 to all stats, and then the Illumina is +7 to all stats.
Yeah, that is correct. So how much of that optional content did you guys do? All the espers? How many party members did you get?
I'm going to be doing all of it. I'm going to get all the characters. I'm going to probably have every esper. What else? I'm going to be doing the bonus dungeon, so I'm probably going to
you actually have a bonus dungeon on top of that, yeah.
Oh, you can get access to a whole bunch of better melee weapons as well, too, because of that bonus dungeon.
Yep.
Yep.
I can wield 2 Illuminas or 2 Ultima weapons.
Yes, you can.
Yep.
I may or may not have just said, I'm not doing a lot. So I didn't bother getting Gal back. I didn't bother getting Go-Go. Because I went into that dungeon, and I fought one enemy, and I was like, fuck that, I'm out. Like
that place is pretty rough.
That's where you get the Moogle Charm for!
I didn't have it, so... Also, if I wanted to see, it's like, I could get some levels in here, so I can get, the things. And...
Triangle Island is actually one of the more annoying areas, because you have the other mechanic, when you're trying to cross the bridges, you have the NPCs that will kick you down.
Yep. Also,
and then you've got the wall or the ceiling that comes down to crush you. It's a cool area.
I don't know.
Except it's an insta-death. Flat out. You are dead. Game over. You don't even get a second try.
I don't know who thought of Go-Go. It's like, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to make this character. You've never heard of him before. You have no idea he's there.
Hey! Who's an FF5?
But I mean in 6. Like, in terms of, like, finding him in 6. We're going to put him in the game. You have no idea he's there. We're going to put him on an island. It's shaped like a triangle. There's going to be an enemy
Illuminati.
there that comes in there. He has to devour you. You can't even kill him. He has to devour all 4 of your party members. Then it unlocks an optional dungeon that you got to go through, and then you'll find him at the end. And it's like... What?
Then you'll find a character with no backstory who's got bad stats and who they never explain his mechanics aside from him having Mimic. How long did it take you to figure out when you first played the game to like hit right on his menu screen and that you could assign abilities to him?
I didn't know you could do that till just now, actually.
Yeah, you go into status and you can go and pick out any of the other ones. That's why I was wondering when you said that you put Go-Go in with the 2 other party members. I was like, but you can get so much more than just the Mimic and his 3 extra abilities.
Well, if for him to get the access to those abilities, he has to be in the same team with those people, I think. Or wait, is that just the way his magic pool works?
It's just for his magic.
I thought it was for his abilities as well. Okay.
I haven't tested it with Rage and Lore. Like, you can still equip Rage and Lore, but I don't know what ability you get inside of it.
Okay, yeah, that might just be the magic, because if you equip him with magic, he gets access to whatever magic of the rest of the team has learned. But I guess for his other abilities, he just has whatever's available.
Yeah, no, I have him doing Butt Rush without saving in the party.
Butt Rush.
Butt Rush, Bum Rush. Psh.
I know, Butt Rush. Another important question. Did you save Shadow?
I will.
Of course.
Of course. I saved him. I was nervous because I was like, which square do I stand on to save him? Because I don't want to stand on the wrong square, and then he just fucking bolts away. My chat was like, don't stand on that square. Go to the other one.
Don't move.
Yeah, it's pretty frightening when you get to 10 seconds, because he's at the last 5. I thought he was the last 10. I got the last 10, I was like, where is he?
He's not here yet! Ah!
I end up making it there with like 15 seconds. I'm like, I don't think I saved him. And then It's like, do you want to wait? I'm like, yes. And all of a sudden, shot just comes out. I was like, oh, thank you.
Thank God that happens.
So, all right, speaking of recurring characters, we've got Gogo, who came from 5 to 6. Do you think Siegfried is Gilgamesh?
I want to say that was what he was supposed to be, but
Pretty much.
in your version, they fixed that.
No, he's still Siegfried, was his name.
No, they bring Gilgamesh in, though.
Oh, okay, I see what you mean, yeah.
Yeah, they actually have Gilgamesh in there. Okay, so clearly you guys unlocked your characters, whereas I skipped a bunch. I didn't do the dream world. I was like, I don't give a shit about your backstory. I don't need Alexander.
Not to mention in the dream world, Rex Soul is a dick of a fight.
That's the worst fight in the whole game.
Yeah, I still don't remember how the mechanics on that work.
It's one of your party members. You're only going to have the 3 that's not Cyan. One of them is going to be infected with Rexol, while the 2 extra ads are just casting level 3 magic at you. And you have to either A, kill or incapacitate all of your members in some way without losing the game, without losing the fight. So you got to go one by one. So if you have X magic already by that
There's
time,
another way to do it. And I remember as a kid, all I would do was vanish X Zone. Vanish all 3 and then cast X Zone.
Well, if you find a way to destroy the 2 ads, you also win. But if you just keep killing them repeatedly, they'll just keep respawning up and up.
Yeah.
So if you have something like X magic, you go and cast break and then remedy. Break and then remedy on each character.
That sounds awful.
It really is. It's a terrible fight.
It's a gimmick fight. And like they start putting more and more gimmick fights throughout the game, and it was really cool. But it goes and shows that they realize that it's a bad idea for a lot of stuff, and they didn't over-abuse it, which is nice.
Thank goodness. So, Final Fantasy VI, at least for the SNES and the PS1 versions, they actually lack super bosses. They lack optional bosses, or they have optional bosses, but they lack super bosses.
Chopin in the arena is pretty close.
I don't know about that.
It's as close as you get on the SNES version.
I wouldn't even call it really a super boss either, because it's
sneezing and you just sneeze.
You don't even have control of your character. Like it's like, set up, roll some dice. Are you gonna win or not?
It was a joke.
If I could grab your throat right now.
Basically, equip a Genji glove and an offering and hope that he doesn't sneeze at you. That's the fight.
You just messed your camera up so much. There we go. And that's kind of surprising after Omega and Shinryu in Final Fantasy V, which were, as we stated last week, the first true super bosses of the series, if you're not considering Warmech. In the SNES and PS1 version, you have the Rexol fight, which isn't technically considered a super boss, but you have the 8 dragons, and you have Death Gaze or Doom Gaze or whatever the hell. Yeah.
It was a cool fight because he saves his HP even if he runs away.
You know what you do?
That part
you
is
don't
cool.
let him run away.
Yeah.
And he hits for like 600. It's pathetic.
He's super weak. It's just a dumb fight.
He's harder in Final Fantasy 1 when they put him in the dungeon than he is in Final Fantasy 6. It's pretty...
That's where all his HP went.
Yeah, into the other game.
And all his attack power.
Did that make Final Fantasy 6's endgame feel disappointing for you guys at all?
Again, the game...
only in retrospect. Like, when you compare it to the other ones, it's like, imagine what could have been. What it has is an incredible endgame as it is, with you going around the world, finding all your old friends, getting the band back together, so that you can go beat up the best villain of all time. It's hard to be disappointed by that, is the thing. It would be great if there was bonus content, which is why I like the GBA version. But even without it, the last portion of the game feels great anyway.
Yeah, like it's... If I go and take a look at this and compare it to all the other games, it's like, did you want the exact same style ending? You know, there is like the argument of like, you know, if it doesn't... if it's not broken, don't fix it. Something like that. But like the main point is like they tried something to do completely different with the story, the progression of the game, how you get to choose how the world gets saved after it's been destroyed. Like that is like they just kept kind of throwing out these choices, hard choices. Like, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? By throwing in super boss and like that, you know, they did a good job with the GPA. But I think it would go against what they originally wanted to do with the game, and it would feel more tacked on.
To me, the 8 dragons already feel tacked on. in Final Fantasy 6.
Well, the
in
thing
original
is
version.
that originally there
It was
is had
Kaiser.
a code
Yeah.
where you would beat the 8 dragons, and there was a bonus dungeon, and there was a Kaiser dragon fight. He's in the code, and he was going to be tied to those dragons, but it didn't come to
Yeah.
fruition,
And then he's in the
unfortunately.
remake. They do include him in the GBA remake.
Well, keep in mind, like those dragons are completely optional as well too.
Yeah.
Like you don't even have to fight any of them.
And they surprise you when you're like, oh, a drag.
There's a couple NPCs that end up talking about it's like the 8 legendary dragons, but
Came forth from the world or something when the world
Yeah.
went to shit. Yeah,
it was just more again like it's either you have the side story or you just have these optional guys just roaming around if you want to kill them or not. They're not super duper ridiculous. They're on par. Some were easier than others depending on which way you ended up going. The only,
Fast
Storm Dragon.
float.
That's the opera.
the only problem I did end up having was, especially with World of Ruin, is that there wasn't any clear direction on where you could be going. It was very guessing. Where can you go? Is there a checklist somewhere? Before, like, it was, some stuff was really, you have to talk to the right person at the right time. If you don't know.
And as a kid, like, part of the reason this is so great to us is because we would have one game as a kid and we'd play it for a month or 2 or 3 months straight, and that was your game. You better be able to put a lot of time into that. And with a game like Final Fantasy VI, it was awesome going around the world, landing into town, talking to all the NPCs there, and finding out, oh, there's something going on over at this place. They just mentioned that. I should go find out about this. And it's now it's a lot harder to do that without a guide.
Oh, yeah.
But at the time,
I was using Nintendo Power. Nintendo Power for the RPGs did a really great job. And if anyone remembers Nintendo Power and how they did Secret of Mana, Final Fantasy IV, Final Fantasy VI, it wasn't like clear strategies, but it was more bullet points. You can do this and this.
You know why it wasn't clear strategies? If you want clear strategies, please call our hotline for 80 cents a minute.
There was that.
I did that. My cousin and I did that.
You bastard.
Because I wanted to know what the hell to set that clock's time to in Zozo. And as a kid, I couldn't figure that out. That's a mind-bending puzzle. Are you kidding me?
Nintendo Power did have that time in there, if I remember correctly.
Okay, I didn't have the Nintendo Power guide.
And it was, I don't know, I just liked the point form. Like, how they did Secret of Mana was absolutely amazing. And it was nice if you ever got off track, where do I go next? And then that was kind of a supplement to the game itself.
Remember the last time I used a magazine as a guide? I used to get a magazine called Tips and Tricks, and they had a Kingdom Hearts one. They managed to do a full 100% unlock everything guide of Kingdom Hearts in 3 pages. It was amazing.
What?
It was phenomenal. I couldn't believe it. I was like, holy shit.
That had to just be text.
It was, but it was only 3 magazine
That's
pages.
still really impressive.
I can imagine, like, coming in, it's like, you can bring in 1 sheet of paper for all of your equations. You bring in, like, a sheet of paper this big, and it's just like, you need a microscope to go and actually read everything.
And it was really impressive that they managed to do that. And it also reminded me about how Kurt Zisa, the name of one of the optional bosses of Kingdom Hearts, it was actually a contest winner. It was like a kid's name. That was always fun. Yeah, if you didn't know that, that's a fun little fact. That Kurt Zisa was actually.
I have heard that before.
Yeah, they had a contest winner, and the winner got to get their name put in the game as a boss.
That's a great name.
That's a great boss name too. Kurt Zisa was a phenomenal boss name. I would love to have Kurt Zisa in other games. How about the final dungeon? How'd you guys fare in Kefka's Tower? Because I got there and I forgot I had to split the party into 3, and I was like, fuck. All of my team sucks except for these 3 people.
I'm probably not going to have too much of a problem with it. I usually get through there pretty all right. Moogle Charm on one group and just make sure that they can take on their boss. The goddess statue, and then if it comes down to it, I can swap who's going down which lanes. Like, I can leave the tower and go back through.
Well, you might
with
want to. You might want to, especially if you're doing your bonus dungeon, so you can steal from the 3 main bosses.
Maybe, yeah. Hadn't thought about and
Last time I played through, you know what I did? I went through each section, and and I just took my main party and I changed. I just kept exiting and changing
Yeah.
just to kill them all. This time I didn't do that. This time I split up the main party. I put one of them in each, and then I just said, "I'd fucking be strong, other guys.
Yeah.
I don't know how. Just be stronger, please." And then Mog was really strong. That's how I figured out how strong Mog was. And he demolished whichever boss he was up against. It was like 4K, 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 4K. That dungeon is a fucking nightmare. I just want to put that out there.
Oh, it's
right
a
now.
dumb place. Like, just the enemies in it. It's one of the main places where you end up encountering Malboros almost every single fight as well too. And if you don't kill them quick enough, you're going to be toast. But one of the cool things is they ended up really taking advantage of the multi-party system, especially this place being you need 3 parties as well. You know, trying to get to certain areas, you have to trigger certain buttons, make sure they're pressed or always pressed in some fashion. It makes it more of like kind of a puzzle as well too as we're going through this area, and it's amazing. I love it.
What about you, Slack?
I really do like the design of the dungeon. I don't remember it being that bad the last time I went through it, but to be fair, I probably over-leveled for it, which is what I usually do in Final Fantasy VI. I have a tendency to grind a lot in this game. I'll get an economizer for every single character. I'll level up characters to 99, tons of characters up to 99. I will, before I even leave the World of Balance, sometimes I'll have every available character know every available spell off of the espers that we have.
I did that for one group, and that's the one group that I've been using the whole game, and then now they're split up amongst those 3 parties.
Yeah, that was what I ended up having to do. Did you guys have any trouble getting past the Warring Triad? Because they are the Warring Triad.
The gods, the 3 statues.
Yeah, the 3 statues. No.
Oh, I'm currently just going through the dungeon right now.
The goddess was the only one that I was a little afraid. And then I remembered that Sabin has quick, and that makes bosses very sad. All bosses very sad. Not only do you have to fight the Warring Triad, but then you have to fight the Tower of Gods, which is essentially a rematch against each of the Triad, in a sense. Although it's basically... Because at this point, Kefka's a god. So from what I understand, the Tower of Gods is supposed to be hell, purgatory, heaven, and then Kefka sits atop all creation. I don't know if you guys picked up
Symbolism.
on that.
Badass, man.
As an idea, I don't know if it really adds too much. I mean, Kefka at the very top of it makes a lot of sense. Visually, going up the tower, it's a pretty impressive fight if you're not over-leveled for it. The Tower of Gods can be a bit rough. Did you have a bad time with it?
I had a bad time with some of it, but then I got to Kefka and it was all fine because he's, in my opinion...
Kefka's one of the biggest pushovers as a final boss of all time. He starts the trend of final bosses in Final Fantasies being...
I'll have to go and say I finished Final Fantasy V, and that end boss was a joke.
Yeah, you were like level 99 with maxed out jobs across the board.
Listen,
No, not literally. I'm exaggerating because you're way overpowered.
do it at level 37. Do it at level 37. Tell me how
without
easy
a bunch
it
of
is.
job grinding and yeah.
Actually, I'm probably gonna play through 5 again. I'm gonna use the Steam version. I want to see it. I'm gonna check it out. You never know. But I want to play through 5 again just to try and see what it is without the grinding. But I don't know. Like there were parts in that game where I'm just trying to figure out like where the line draws between trying to figure out how to do the fight versus actually being able to just get through the fight. Like how much RNG, not RNG, but like guessing is required for you to beat some of these fights. Whereas like in almost any other game, you can just beat the fight because your characters are that good.
I'm looking at you, Final Fantasy 3. I'm looking
Like
at you.
I don't know. Like like 5 just felt too much. You had to know what you're fighting, and then if you didn't know it, you had to go back. You lost, and then you went in with more information. It's like I like that, but I don't like that at the same time. And that's the one thing is I want to go through and defeat that because even with my super powerful group that I did have, I still had some rough times here and there with some enemies. It's like, why am I not killing this one as quickly as this one? What's going on? What's different? How can I tell that this is different right off the get-go? If I was lower level, would I have to restart this fight because I've already died?
There's a lot that goes into that. That's the old school Final Fantasy mentality right there.
But it wasn't though. 1, 2, 3, and 4 did not have that mentality at all. Maybe there was a couple of fights.
3 did.
I don't know.
3 didn't even let you have that mentality. It would just double fuck you in the face in the first 2 seconds before you had a chance to think about it. Oh man, yeah, Kefka is majorly disappointing final boss.
I think I have actually one-shot him before with a dual-wielding Sabin. I think I had him with 2 Tiger Fangs and a Genji Glove and an Offering, and he went in there 9999 9999 9999 9999, and then he was dead. And I was like, that was the final boss. That's it
awful.
for this game. There's nothing else to do here now.
Yeah, especially after fucking X Death. That piece.
Yeah, he only has 62,000 HP for the end boss.
Yeah.
Huh.
I mean, that's considering you had to do 3 other bosses immediately prior, though. They're all kind of considered part of the same. It's just not.
Yeah.
You're not fighting all 4 bosses at the same time. You move up one by one.
Yeah.
And there's also the concern of if a party member dies and you really like that party member, you better get them back up quick. I think in the GBA version, it insta switches.
Ooh, I don't think so. No.
I think it'll
like
auto
you
switch
can
if you're
res.
dead at the end. I think.
Yeah,
as soon
when
as
you
it-
transition to the next phase,
Yeah,
the new people come in.
that happens with Super Nintendo too. Like if someone dies, because for people that don't know, with the Final Fantasy VI final boss, is that you go in to, like, you have all 3 parties going through. They do their own little mini bosses throughout the thing. Any extra boss as well too. Atma, 2 dragons, a robot, kind of similar that you fought in Vector when you're trying to escape. But then when you get to the very end, you end up stepping into light to go and transport you to the final area, and then you get a list of every single character that you've brought in, all like 12 names that you've brought in, and you have to
Have
order
fun
them.
with all of your Garys on that, by the way.
I only have 2 Garys.
Only 2. Oh, I
Only
thought
2 Garys. No, we almost had all the Garys.
Oh God.
So, oh God, that is right. Oh, I just started thinking between Terra and Locke. Oh, okay. Anyway, I understand the evilness of that even more now. So what you do is you get to order your characters 1 through 12, and then you go in with the first 4 characters. If one dies on one phase of the fight, when you get to the next, automatically number 5 will come in. Number 6, number 7, number 8 will come into the fight, and it's awesome.
It's a great idea.
Like even
A
like
game that is way too easy, where you shouldn't be dying, probably.
Yeah.
even like look back, like the only other game, to the best of my knowledge, thinking about them all right now, that lets you even mid-switch would be 10. 10's the only other game that lets you mid-switch characters out live that are with the group already. So
That's not true. 10. You can use your turn to switch party members in 10.
it still uses your turn, but you can still do it mid-fight.
Okay, yeah. Okay. Yeah. I just...
It doesn't use your turn. That character gets to act as soon as they come in.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Okay.
Yeah.
You're right. I forgot. Sad face. Overall, Final Fantasy VI, I'd say... I don't know. When I finished playing, I was like, I remember every reason, and all the reasons why this is my favorite Final Fantasy still stand.
Yep.
I don't know if that's how you guys felt.
That's how I'm feeling right now. Like, I'm loving it enough that I want to do 1, maybe 2 more playthroughs of it later. There's the Brave New World hack that I mentioned. I have a really cool sounding randomizer for it, which just from the screenshots alone looks fantastic.
A randomizer?
Yeah, here, let me grab the chat for you real quick.
Here, you know what you should do? You should do an we'll call it the all Gary run, where you have to name all your characters the same thing, and at the end, when you do get to the final boss, you have no idea which one is which, and you're just like...
You know, if you play through that first time, he's going to know how everything ends up possibly playing out.
That's true. That's all right. It was a good idea when I thought of it, because I love the thought of Morag having to struggle with that. If only they were all Gary, every single one. That would be... I just imagine 12 snails going after the final boss when I hear that. Is there anything you would have changed about Final Fantasy VI that you looking back, maybe you remembered it and it wasn't as fabulous? And yes, fabulous had to be the choice of words.
Fabulous.
Fabulous
Tower. I'd make it more fabulous.
Which tower? Is that the Magic Tower? Or is that Kefka's Tower?
That would be the Magic Tower for sure.
Okay.
Zozo can go I hate Zozo.
Yeah,
I've always
fuck
hated
Zozo. I hate that. Everything about that town is bad.
Zozo is pretty frustrating.
They were like, why aren't you going to go get Cyan? I'm like, because I don't want to go to Zozo. So I went and got Mog with a Moogle Charm, and I said, now we
Granted-
go to Zozo.
Granted, Mount Zozo is significantly less frustrating than Zozo itself.
Yeah.
When you run into it in the story.
You still got to walk through Zozo to get to Mount Zozo.
That's true. You don't have to walk that far, all right?
You-
You don't have to go to the top of Terra's Tower again, at the very least.
I swear it's scripted, and it probably is. But the first time you come to Zozo, 3 steps in, you fight one of those Gigases.
Yeah,
Every
and then it murders you.
goddamn time, and you're just like, God damn it, Zozo! This is why
I ran from everything in Zozo. I was like, I'm not fighting anything here. It's not worth it. Not one bit. I don't care what magic I can learn. I don't care what. Just fuck it. I'm not.
The only thing that I'd say is a major problem with the game is the battle mechanics. There's the beginning of the homogenization of characters, which is a little sad, but also the fact that the game is basically held together by duct tape, and that you can't use any stat except for magic most of the time. Every character's special ability scales also off of magic. Evasion as a stat literally doesn't work, and because of that blind, the status effect doesn't work either.
That's only for the Super Nintendo version.
Well, yeah, for the Super Nintendo version. My version has that stuff fixed. But in the original Super Nintendo version, just so much of this stuff that's so broken and just wrong about the game. Vanished Doom being another one. I'd say those are the big ones. I feel like there's one other mechanic from the original that is pretty dumb.
Sketch
Well,
Blitz.
Sketch. That's
Uh,
fun.
I'm surprised there's one that hasn't popped up here. But if you really want to screw with the game, if people are familiar with some of the speedrun strats, reverse Joker Doom.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my chat was talking about that.
Amazing. Even to think of like, damn, can we trick the game into like not fixing itself, but yet can we use it against the bosses around us too? Like that it is abusing what is there, but they never fixed it.
Why bother?
It's still it's the best to my knowledge. You can still even do it like throughout the entire series, and it's just like it's too cool. Like it's just something like that. If you know the timing for it and you can hold off.
Well, you also have to manipulate the game's code. Because the speed run of it, you have to like imp somebody and then use the remedy item on them, and it like resets your RNG seed so that it's at a point where you can get the Joker to actually land.
Yeah, well, it's
otherwise the game is literally coded so that you can only get triple Joker or triple whatever that one is at specific times.
Yeah, it's just amazing though. I love it. It's so good though.
Did you guys sing the opera scene? Did you Mr. MV it?
I will not be doing that.
I tried. It was really, really bad.
No, I was the nervous eater, and I had a big meaty burrito that I was just stuffing my mouth with, and I was just like, "This is so intense." Throughout the entire thing, it was excellent. It was good.
It was an excellent burrito.
Meat and cheese.
I kind of want a burrito now.
God, it was
Yeah,
so
I've been
good.
sitting here. I'm like, I need to stream, but I could go eat.
Oh man! All right, so that's gonna be a wrap for Final Fantasy VI. Then seems we all love it. We knew that going into the week. We knew that just now, and it's only been about an hour and 10 minutes. So I think we have some time to discuss the Final Fantasy 15 gameplay video that came out last Tuesday. Wow, Morag, I've never seen you do that before.
Oh, it's so good! I want to play it, man. I want to play it. I still have my worries, but damn, I was so happy with what they changed even since the demo.
All right, so for those who don't know, last Tuesday, a 53-minute gameplay video dropped, and unfortunately, the day after they announced they were delaying the game. So Morag, I know, has seen it. Slack, I believe, has seen bits and pieces.
I've clicked through it. I wanted to get a general idea, and I didn't have a lot of time when I pulled up the video, and I kind of want to go into 15 with a lot of the stuff being fresh. So I just wanted a general idea of what was happening in the video.
All right, so let's... Oh, Morag,
I kind of want to spoil the whole thing for him.
I also kind of want to just watch the whole video.
I want to give you a whole mindset, and you might facepalm, you might not. But I don't think I want to say it.
That's fine. Don't say it. All right, so let's discuss some of the important gameplay topics that we get, because there's some story elements too. We'll try and keep them limited, how much we talk about the story elements. That being said, there are a few focal points of the story that are revealed in the gameplay trailer. For one of them, we have our first symbology of the number 15. That's a big thing with the Final Fantasy series, is whatever number Final Fantasy it is, you tend to see it pop up in a lot of places.
Yeah.
For example, with Final Fantasy 7, Lucky 7
Lucky sevens. Yep.
is one of the big ones. In this, we learn that Noctis is the 15th heir of his kingdom. So that's, of course, got to be a major point. And then there's even more symbology there that I won't go into, but that's symbology, though. That's not even symbology. That's not what symbology
That's just
is.
like a wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Like,
Yeah.
get it? That's the number of the game, huh?
Yeah, get it? It's like when the trailers, when they said we've been waiting far too long. It's like, yeah, no shit.
Well, they've always liked poking fun at themselves too, through like especially with these latest games that they put out. It's always been good.
There's also points in the story where they have dialogue choices that affect rewards. That was another big one that popped up that I didn't expect to necessarily see here. Thought it was going to be pretty streamlined, the quests that you had available. It kind of takes from what looks like the Mass Effect series almost, like when you look at somebody and then it switches camera views depending on the dialogue that's going on, and it gives you a choice sometimes with limited time. And it could change the reward outcome. So that was a welcome thing. I always liked that in the Mass Effect series. I don't know about you guys. Yeah. But the first big thing that we got to see was we finally got an in-depth look at character customization. And they pulled no punches, is how I felt about it.
I clicked around this part a few times.
They kind of did a surface. They didn't really show off too much.
Yeah, we don't know the depth of it.
Like we barely got to see how you go in, like how big those. I want to call it sphere grid again, because it kind of looks like it. I don't know what the official name is for it. Like we only got to see like basically a small little tip of it. I want to say. So we don't even know what's going to happen there. They're full on bringing boy band. They're bringing some new meaning to this with basically all your equipment literally will change what your character's going to look like. And you could choose any of those outfits even as well too as a fashion. So
does the attire affect anything else, or is it
Yes,
just visual?
it does affect stats. If you watch the
Okay.
video, you will see Gladio's HP drop when he changes one of his outfits. We
We
don't
got-
know.
we got 10-2 Just Fears back. Yeah. For guys. Yeah.
For guys. That's honestly one of the most important parts that people have pointed out, because one of the number one complaints is not just that it's an all-male cast, but that they're all dressed in black, which...
Yeah, the look of them did turn me off from the game. So one of the first things I noticed was them switching the attire around, and I was like, I'm in.
At one point, like I don't know, like to me, I'm not a big fashion person.
Neither am
I don't know if you could tell, but it's like I don't understand the reason for wearing a name brand and why it pertains to my status in the world. Like it's like I don't give a shit. I really don't. I'm gonna put a piece of clothing on. It's gonna look maybe good, and then I move on. But like to walk around looking like I'm a professional golfer all the time and I get extra stats from it, I guess that's good.
I get it.
Okay. I mean, you've played World of Warcraft, right? It was the same thing there.
Okay,
Until they
maybe
introduced
put on one piece of gear just because it looked awesome. Maybe.
Yeah, and I mean that's a big thing though, because you see a pretty good variety. Like you see Noctis in like a t-shirt and a baseball cap at one point, and I mean it's fun, and it also of course opens up opportunities for them to have certain outfits if you've seen the pre-order bonuses and some of the things they've listed there.
The fact that the attire does affect the stats worries me a little, because I was really into the idea of just having my team look like whatever I wanted them to look like, instead of kind of being attached to, well, this guy is doing like tank sort of duty right now, so I need to make sure he's got good HP and defense. So I'm a little concerned.
We don't know. It doesn't look like it affects it much, but we only see one costume change.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's hard to tell.
And you know, if you really want to take a look at it this way, both 12 and 13, we haven't really had the choice of what our character looks externally. There's only Lightning Returns like the last game since 10-2 that is even a thing. Even in 10, we didn't even have that option.
No. And in Lightning Returns, technically the whole game changes outfits all the time. So
Yeah.
That's another big one. Second thing, we have the weapons. It looks like Noctis can wear any weapon that any of his party members can, any weapon Ignis, Gladio, or Prompto can use, on top of a bunch of unique ones specifically to him. But there are also weapons that offer stats and different properties, MP regeneration, HP drain, new special attacks, and that also affects your allies. You have pretty much full customization of what weapons are used where, and you can equip 4 weapons at the same time. On top of that, I was going to go into something there. You can mod the weapons with Sid. That is his function of the game.
I wanted to hear more about that because I've always felt that those styles have always felt kind of tacked on to a lot of games. Like even through the Tales series, if any of you guys have played those, it feels a little tacked on, like it's not needed, but also at the same time, it's usually a one-way street. If you go down that path, you're screwed. You can never go back. So your choice is already set in stone, and you might screw yourself over for.
That's what worries me about that. Similar to Vagrant's story, when I think of like, oh, this weapon is like a golem killer weapon. I've got the golem killer attribute on it, and now like if it's also my strongest weapon, but now I have to fight a dragon, and I don't have any good weapon that has dragon killer on it. So now I have to farm up the materials to make a weapon that will have dragon killer on it, and then I can go and take this dragon on and not get killed quite as hard as I was before. There's a give and take there. I don't know how I feel about the system. I prefer it when it's a minor thing that's kind of attached to some weapons, like how the Final Fantasy series did it for a long time. You've got like the worm killer and the were killer, things like that, where it's effective against a certain type, but it's not something where you can necessarily, like, because you can make it yourself, like there's a expectation that you're going to have to as well.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, we have to look at the gameplay itself. It's very much, if you can avoid things, you shouldn't run into that issue because damage is very avoidable.
But for like doing all of the side quests and stuff, like doing the big side quests where it's like, oh, go kill Leviathan or something like that.
I'm always a fan of customization in single player games, so this was really exciting for me. And you also get a rough idea
for me. Yeah.
from Deuce Kai. You also get a rough idea of how each weapon has its own special attacks, as well as another big thing. So if you prefer weapons that are all fast, you want to use 4 different fast weapons, go for it. If you want to use 4 different slow weapons, go for it. And it's just a matter of how much MP drain do you get, how's it balanced, what magic stat, strength stat. A lot of it to me feels like it's going back to old school Final Fantasy, where we don't really have that much anymore, where we don't have much customization of characters, it feels, recently in Final Fantasy. And it's really digging to go back into that. And tons of weapons is always fun for me.
Yeah.
One thing that's really been, and I guess this is where it comes down to, is I don't know enough about the game dev point of view of this, is that we've had 2 different demos, 2 versions of the first one. And each version, they keep changing the main game system. Even this version is a little bit different from what it feels like, just a little bit different than even how Platinum demo was. And it's like, like I can understand that, 60% of like dev costs go into assets, making assets, 40 to 60% go into there. And that's one of the most time consuming portions is the art of it. Next would probably end up being possibly the engine building as well too. But how is it that it's been this many years and they still have not had a solid main gameplay system yet? They have some ideas of what they want to do, but they keep trying so many different things to find a way to make the game fun. Now, don't get me wrong. I love that they are doing it, but it's surprising to me that they've gone through already 3 public versions and now showing on this final gold build this is the version now that you'll be playing. And it scares me a little bit.
Well, it's not like that was unknown. Oh, there's a lot of difference
between like the Platinum demo and what we saw. Because like for me, I think of it as like this is just the Platinum demo was what they wanted us to see, and now this trailer is what they were actually building up to.
Yeah. And they did give us, they told us Deuce Kai was bare. Like they said, this is literally as little as you need to understand about the combat. And they were at the time telling us there will be these kind of attacks, these kind of attacks, these kind of attacks. And that information was there, but we hadn't visualized it. Whereas Platinum Demo finally gave us hands-on with magic, but they didn't actually show us how magic is obtained at that point, and we got to test weapon switching, the updated weapon switching, which is still consistent here. We just didn't get to see how it interacts with all the menus and just a huge breadth of weapons. We only still got to see kind of bare bones, and I agree with Slack. This kind of feels like what they were building up to, but what wasn't ready before is ready now, essentially. That's how I feel about it.
As main gameplay mechanics, though, that scares me. How long is the game in dev for?
3 years. The actual 15 has been in development for 3 years at this point.
Yeah, but still, it ends up coming from like you still had the idea of like we want to make a game, and then trying to build through it. Like and again, game dev point of view, like where is it? Where is like the point of I want to make a game? Do you build off a theme first and then add gameplay, or do you come up with a good gameplay mechanic and then add theme around it? It definitely feels like the gameplay mechanic was the one that was left behind. And that's what, again, just scares me a little bit, especially since every single Final Fantasy game we've played across has always tried to improve and make that mechanic better. They went into the game without knowing what that mechanic was.
Okay. I could see where you're coming from for that. The third thing that we get to check out is the Ascension Grid, which is the official name. Everyone's just calling it the Crystarium or the Sphere Grid or whatever. It is called the Ascension Grid, where Noctis and the party members, they generate AP through doing side quests or unique optional things. We see them, maybe it's like, oh, block 5 times in this fight, get 4 AP. Doing the tutorials rewards you with some AP as well. And you can unlock things like when you're locked onto an enemy, you can see their weaknesses, or you're able to do a phase dive, or you're able to equip extra accessories. And again, going through customizing the characters, they're really, again, trying to emphasize eventually you can have the whole grid, Ascension Grid, unlocked for every character, but the choice of how you want to play early game is, again, a point here. Do we like Ascension Grid, or are we a fan of the more traditional forward leveling stat increase system?
I hate the Sphere Grid in 10. I'm a much bigger fan of the traditional leveling system, unless the Sphere Grid is done differently here.
Have you played Expert Sphere Grid?
No, I haven't. I've thought about it, but
do it next.
Like the idea.
Yeah, do Expert Sphere Grid. It's a lot better.
It's like this is actually like the big difference between having your character. Like, okay, with Final Fantasy 1, you chose your class, and then bam, that's the choices. That's what class you are. You are locked in. That's what you're doing for the rest of the game. To have that normal progression on your characters built through EXP, which you get normally through just killing stuff. So everything is automatically done for you each time. When you start going through the game, even with Final Fantasy 6, everything's kind of automatic for you, but you still have a choice to choose what you want to do with your character. By espers to build up certain stats if you wish to make them a certain thing. There's a little bit of extra work involved, but you can still do it. You go and take a look at 10 with the Sphere Grid. You get to choose, well, with the classic one, you don't really get to choose where you start, but your class is already predetermined in what you want to do. But by the time you get to endgame, you can choose. Okay, well, now I've done this. Now I want to go this way, or I want to go this way. I want to go that way. It's not done automatically for you, which is a big thing. It's you have to do it yourself. You have to make a choice. So are you a lazy gamer who just wants to play a game, or you want to have a little bit of choice with your character? And this is like a big difference that we're starting to see now, but with the evolution of the series, JRPG, let's just grind out and have fun, versus Western RPG, add a little bit of choice into it, and have some fun with it, allowing the person to choose what they want to do with their character in the long run. And this is where I think with 15, we're taking the best of both the action combat world, not really having a lot of the strategy that we're used to having, and then adding on top of that the choices that they allowed us to have with 10 as well at the same time.
It is worth mentioning that this Ascension Grid does not have stats on it like the Sphere Grid did. Like, it's not strength +1, strength +3.
Yeah, it's just for like abilities
and traits. Those are the big things.
And then is it choice like the Sphere Grid in 10, where there are multiple parts and there are different things to do, or is it more like the Crystarium in 13, where it's like a straight line and then an offshoot over here and then more straight?
It's more like you start in the center and there's 3 branches, and those we only see the first ability of each branch, and one of them's a passive ability, one of them's an active ability, and one of them's one that affects like your character's equipment. But we don't see past that, so we don't know. And there's one for each of them. Each character has this
Did you
this
play
Ascension grid.
Zilia?
Do they have their own like? Each three thing is different for each character, or is it
We don't
the
know.
same
We
three?
only got to see
Okay.
We only get to see Noctis's grid.
Slack, did you play Tales of Zilia?
No.
Oh, okay.
And then, so the next thing we have is quest and combat. So they showed us that they're bringing back Final Fantasy XII's hunt system, where you can accept quests to either kill a group of enemies that are just kind of bothersome in the area, or you can go after a big open world boss or side thing. Yay, nay. I was always a fan of 12's hunt system, personally.
I wanted to love it, but it was a grind. And this is where I know Slack might end up having some more words about it, because I remember him grinding at 11 or 12 a lot. I was lurking a lot during that. And it should be interesting to see what they're doing, because this is the one thing I want to just put into Slack's mind is that 15 feels like a really well-polished 12.
That's kind of what I'm thinking too, yeah. I mean, the license board is essentially like the sphere grid in a different way. So
Yeah.
once I hear about this, once again, it's like there's that choice of taking characters around. So
It's what it's added a kind of new fear to me, because I haven't found a way to fully appreciate 12 because of how they did the license boards, where every character, it was so easy to grind out that license board.
When you play that, then you'll have a new fun
I know,
appreciation.
and
You'll
that's
understand.
what I'm looking so much forward to, and that's what I'm hoping is that they take from what I understand from what I've seen of the Zodiac board to go and see how it works. I hope they take that and put that in 15, and just don't make it an expansion, don't make it an add-on, don't make it another way to play the game.
don't make it the HD version 2 years
just-
from now or something.
Just like this again, going back to what I was saying earlier, if they didn't have a unique mechanic already, I'm worried about how you progress your character as well too. Like, just don't make it plain like 12 was.
And what about the combat to you guys? Because when I'm watching the combat here, it seems to flow a lot better than it did in Platinum.
Oh,
On the
in
same
particular.
note of comparing it to 12, I'm
okay.
just mostly worried about it, like the lack of a gambit system. Do we know how well we can tell our party members to do certain things?
They said they have a full AI customization
Okay.
available for the other three characters. It's not going to be like Kingdom Hearts where you're just like, don't be an asshole. All right?
Yeah,
They-
because they never listen.
yeah.
I really liked the a lot of like the jumping around from person to person during some of the fights, like actually getting to control those characters for like the split moment type of quick actions. It kind of takes QTEs to kind of a newer level. Not that they're QTEs that pause the whole fight, but something that is active during it. Are you doing the right button combination from their perspective as well too?
Yeah.
And I think that could be really fun for adding in and getting different perspectives of the battle, especially if you're fighting stuff. Because especially near the end of the video, you end up coming into a fight that has like 8 to 12 guys running around, and you're trying to survive. They're trying to survive, and you're trying to beat up all these guys, and everyone's kind of doing their own little fight.
Yeah, and on top of that, that's where you have the wait mode. In the wait mode, you're able to initiate these combo commands or go after a specific target, and you do get some limited control of the individual characters, which was something they had actually ruled out entirely maybe a year and a half ago. They said, no, you're not going to not get to control the others at all.
I'm really looking
You're not
forward
this
to
all the
wait
time,
mode.
and I was like, ugh, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to
how
wait
that's gonna
mode.
go.
I am.
Yeah.
We'll see how well it works out. Oh, and to go back to the hunts thing, the hunts in 12, the reason I don't like them in 12 is because with the way that they're done there, and the way that the story is told, it makes you feel very disjointed from the story. Because there are all these side quests that you kind of have to do as they come up. And because of that, there's these huge spanses of time in between the major plot events, and it makes you get very detached from the storytelling of the game. Which is a shame. It's one of the bigger problems that I have with the game. As cool as it is to have all that side content, at the same time it hurts it.
Slack, I'm sorry, but I have to tell you, one of my biggest problems that I had with the trailer was complete a quest, instantly get a phone call saying, yeah, we just finished this quest up. You have another quest for me? Oh, we'll go do that right now.
I mean, I that's a nice way of handling it instead of having to go back and talk to them at least.
Yeah.
For me personally, what I'm looking forward to in 15, I don't have a lot of expectations of the story right now. It seems like it could actually be good, but what I'm looking forward to is diving into that big open world and going around, just exploring, going spelunking into a cave. All of this openness, the possibilities of the game is what really interests me.
I think during the
So,
video we got to see
I like the idea.
3 areas, I think, so far.
We've seen Diskai, we've seen Lucis, and we've seen actually that wasn't Lucis is I think the name of the whole area. And I don't remember the name of the other one.
I don't remember the names, but it was like the beginning area where you first bring your car into the capital
Lucis.
area, and then
Insomnia.
and then what we got in the demo.
Okay.
The first demo.
Yeah, the first demo was Diskai. It doesn't look like Disguise's changed too much based on the map that they released.
Chocobo Ranch looks much bigger now.
Yes, and that was another thing that we'll talk about in a little bit. One thing that they definitely fixed up was link-up attacks. In episode Diskai, you needed to walk into a circle to execute the link-up attack, and in the middle of a fight, it was really annoying to do.
It was very disjointing.
Now, instead, when a link-up is available, Noctis can choose between which party member in order to execute. And we also learned through that even with guest party members, the 5th guest party member that you just get occasionally for story elements, you can also do link-up attacks with them.
Like FF12.
Yeah. Well, FF12, it's just let Larsa spam potions on me, please. That's all that. That's all that was in Final Fantasy 12. He was amazing with those high potions, though. Magic is another interesting topic because it's not only how powerful it is, but how it's obtained is a big point to talk about.
Interesting. When I first saw it, I was like, wait, so you have to collect elements and then craft your spells, and then he just crafted dual casting? What is this?
Yeah, I did click through that part, and I noticed that too. That was a little weird.
So the way it works, there's focus points that exist out in the world, and you can also sometimes draw magic from certain enemies, depending on it, after they've been killed. But essentially, you pull like magic points of a specific element off of a point, and with that, you craft your magics. Is essentially how it works. So magics are meant to be limited and extremely powerful and influential to combat. With that in mind, they're not something that it's like, oh, I'm just gonna cast. This person's just spam fire. Wee. That's it. No, that's not. That's how I imagine. That's how like Celis does it. That's something like that. It's just,
Wee! Saying we the whole time. I believe it.
Exactly. I mean, that's maybe Kefka would cast it like that. I could believe that anyway. So welcome back, Final Fantasy VIII draw system. Anyway.
A little bit, but
Tiny
the thing
bit.
it is the draw system, but completely reimagined. And I've talked about this recently, and I'll definitely rant about it some more when I get around to 8. The draw system itself is not a bad idea. The junction system is completely fucking stupid, but the draw system isn't an inherently terrible idea. It's just that the way that they do it in 8 makes it a complete grind, a terribly boring grind at that, of find the right target, sit there for 5 minutes, and draw from them until you have 100 of a spell, run away, and attach it to one of your stats. And then never cast said spell, because when you do, that's going to make your max HP go down, because duh.
Watch it be, if you want to go and like increase your weapons with Sizz, you have to bring some sort of magic to them.
Yeah, junction it. Junction the magic.
God.
Junction the magic points.
And that's what you have to do.
Still not as bad as
That's gonna be it.
That's still not as bad as junctioning in a sense, because at least then you're going out knowing, oh well, then I need X amount of fire points to do it.
Yeah.
I'm not going out of my way to get this fire spell, put it on my hotbar, and then I have to put it on a weapon. Now I'll never cast it again. It's a different use of it, and that's really the big thing, because that's really was the issue with the draw system, was junctioning the magic.
Yep.
And the fact that every individual character had their own magic, and to top it all off, limited inventory space for the magics that you could have, which, by the way, if you decide to use the magic booster like I did, that space is way more limited than it normally is, because that was a goddamn nightmare. But the big thing with magic is the way it interacts with the world, the environment. That's the big thing they've kind of touched upon here. If you cast fire on an oil tanker, boom.
I actually really liked how they were hiding some of the magics, the draw points as well too. Like when you're in like the darker area there, and you just go along, it's like, oh yeah, this canister right here, fire, cool. I'm just gonna draw from that right now. Like I thought that was really cool. To go and show some of these environments, especially the dungeons. I loved the feel of them. I loved that there was monsters lurking in there that just felt it was bumps in the night. They are the frightening things that you do not want to be running into. Having the scale of some of these monsters too will just so good. I really enjoyed it, and I was happy with seeing that.
Yeah, and another thing is like if it's raining, guess what? Lightning magic all of a sudden, or if you're by a big body of water, the enemy gets wet by stepping in the water. Lightning magic's more effective against them.
Final Fantasy Tactics did it first.
But how do we feel about that? Magic being less usable, but way more impactful when used.
I love it because I'm always about the physical classes anyway. I am happy to see that like you're crafting the spells yourself, because some of the early things that we'd seen of the game, it made it seem like it was just an item. Like you'd go to the shop and you'd buy 20 fire bombs and then you'd chuck fire spells at enemies. And I was like, that was a major turnoff to me. I like the idea of them being important in a way, and adding some epicness, I suppose, back to the idea of spells.
Well, even like Crisis Core and Birth by Sleep for Kingdom Hearts had kind of done this too, for crafting up how you wanted to progress your character. And those were your main attacks. By doing this just for the spells, I think it could be really fun. A good balance between the two.
I completely agree. I was going to go somewhere. I think it was towards summoning magic, because we know that the way episode Disguise shows summoning magic is not the way it will be fully implemented. It's not like a, hey, keep me alive, panic attack button like it was shown there. We still don't know how that's going to work, though, going into Final Fantasy
that interests me. I've been waiting to get more details on it, but we still don't really know anything. Aside from that they're as big as towns.
And that they just run across. I love watching the Titan summon in the trailers. It's like, how are you not destroying something in the process? My big question is, does that mean I can't use it in a cave? Because what the hell is it going to do?
Yeah, that's the other thing. Like, how is it going to be implemented in some of these areas?
It probably won't be usable in a lot of the
Yeah.
enclosed areas, I imagine. Or it'll have a different effect in enclosed areas.
I can already see like Promptu being like, "Are you insane? You're going to cause a cave-in if you trying to summon it."
There's also one other mechanic that's discussed by the developers that is, I can't talk about it too much because it's a mechanic that's actually explained in Kingsglaive. So, important part about Kingsglaive, you'll see Noctis regularly sort of putting a ring on in a lot of the trailers. That ring has major importance and is... there's a lot of magic involved in it, and the developer said...
I've noticed that. I've kind of put together what that is and what it means.
Yeah, until you see Kingsglaive, you don't know what that ring is. That's why I don't want to talk about it too much. That ring is incredibly
I have an idea.
important.
It definitely seems important.
So there's going to be magic, more powerful magic available through said ring, and a more consistent means of accessing magic very late into the game. It even mentions the ability to cast Toad as one of the spells. So that is, I'm always wondering, like, are you going to be able to confuse enemies and cast Toad on them? Like, how many status effects is another thing we also still don't know. We know poison, paralyze is something we can assume. We know blizzard slows your movement speed if you're in a blizzard when you cast it.
Which is also really cool.
Yeah.
I wonder, is fire going to have a damage over time effect? Do we know?
If it depends on the environment it's cast on. I
Okay.
believe if you cast on a grassy field, it leaves a fire
Scorches
field
the field.
behind. Yeah,
That's-
Well,
scorches the
in
field.
the video, they go and show the oil still being on fire.
Yeah,
They-
and oil stays lit on fire, and those can affect Noctis and his party members, at least to some degree. If you cast Blizzard on an enemy, it might affect you as well. You might see like the frost on the clothing, etc. So
Yeah, I
They're-
remember seeing that in one of the
They're
trailers.
really trying to cross that line of like, because like even like the opening scene of the game, like if anything, if anyone doesn't want to spoil themselves, I would highly recommend just watching the opening portion of the
that's
game.
probably the most spoilered part of the entire trailer is the first minute.
No, man, like just it's more just the feel of the entire thing of just bringing the car in to Sid's and then just getting it repaired. Just watch that, and you will automatically get a sense of what they are trying to do with mixing like a lot of kind of stuff that we kind of take for granted here in life, but then mixing it with this completely fantasy world and different mechanical magics and whatnot, and then making it something brand new, something like that I could honestly see them putting in a VR and taking off with it down the road, like some weird
Also VR, woohoo!
like some weird sort of online, and then they're just going to go with it, because I think this is going to be a major stepping stone for the way that VR MMOs possibly might end up being looking or even acting in the future.
Another point that's brought up in my chat is it was revealed that Leviathan, as a summon, you do need a body of water nearby in order to summon him, for
Interesting.
example. He doesn't just fly through the sky like you kind of see him do a platinum demo in your dreams. So there are definitely, it sounds like there's definitely going to be everything's very environmentally driven in Final Fantasy 15. They want you to feel like this Leviathan isn't going to pop out of the volcano.
Is it November yet? Like, oh my god.
It's gonna, it's probably gonna have that feel of like very anime-esque, where it just feels like the arenas you're fighting in are so set up, and you're just like, some characters like, there's a train track there, summon Doom Train, and you're just like, oh. Anytime you see a train track, I go, okay, there's probably a boss coming up here.
There's also a number of mini games shown. We get to see fishing, which literally looks like Bass Pro for Dreamcast. I'm just saying, like, he had a full equipment screen. What kind of line he was using, what kind of motor he has on the thing, what's the rod made out of. It reminded me of Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time fishing, but like official, and that made me really happy. I like fishing. Do you guys like fishing?
It's all right. I'm gonna do it in the game.
Yeah.
Also, really quick, as an aside, someone in my chat just reminded me about this. Let me see if there's the chat. You see here, this is going back to FF6 real quick. I threw it up in our chat.
That's fine.
You see that big red bulb at the top of Were-Rat's head?
Yeah.
Did you ever know that that's his ear?
Yeah.
I had figured that out during when I was playing. I was like, wait a
Someone
second.
pointed it out to me, and I was like, wait, what? That's not just a bulb at the top of his head because he's a monster?
I thought that when I was really young, but
It's kind of like the same thing with Shadow. I've always thought that his headband was like he was wearing goggles.
Yeah. I always thought
my
the rabbits in the lettuce, I thought that the enemy was the head of lettuce itself.
oh my
That you were
god.
just fighting a head of lettuce as an
Just
enemy.
you guys are killing me right now with this.
It was called a leafer in the original FF6 release. I looked at it. There's a bunch of green. It's cabbage that's trying to kill you. What do you want?
Chocobo Racing also in Diskai, in the Diskai region, was shown with its own track with multiple modes facing an NPC. Getting a pick, you could face off against Gladio, Prompto, one of the locals. You could jump through hoops. You could take shortcuts. That was really cool. And then you had the driving conversations, which were buddy, as we kind of anticipated with this one. I gotta see how I'm looking forward to hearing those conversations when you're on auto drive, because you can manually drive or you can auto drive, and it gives you a distance tracker, and it's not fast travel. Important thing to remember: it is not fast travel. It is I am going to that point.
It is actual travel in the car.
Yeah,
And there's actual parking.
yeah. He fucking backed up into a spot. I was like, I am not going to be able to do that. I am just driving up and getting out and nothing else.
No
What is-
parallel parking, please.
What's that
please.
€1 driving sim game?
I don't know.
Euro
It's-
Truck Sim?
I'm
Euro
not.
Truck Sim. Yeah, no, that all over. You should see. I'm not a good driver.
Nope. That's not something that's going to end well. And when the fuck is Justice Monsters 5 finally coming out? Like, that's another thing. We're talking about mini games here. That one was like a really big one that was shown at Uncovered, and we still don't have that. That's gonna be in game too. I'm pretty sure. Like that's not just
That's why 15 was delayed, because they needed to delay that game.
They needed to delay Justice Monsters 5. That's why. Oh man, you could be right. Maybe not at all, but that's if you say so. Overall, how'd you feel about 15 when you saw the gameplay? More excited, less excited, angry? They delayed it 2 months. What do we got?
I want to play through 12 now.
I'm telling you, IZGS, man. That version fixes the game.
I want to, but
Play
I
through
also
it twice.
I might have to play through it twice, but I also want to know why I hated the game. Why it made
Fair.
me stop playing. I need to go through it again.
Same thing happened to me when I was younger, when I first played the game.
I stopped right before Sid.
Yeah, actually, we've
Before
talked
Sid.
about this. We
Yeah.
stopped. At
We've
the
talked
exact
about
same
this, I
point.
think, every week since we've
Have we?
started counting.
Maybe.
What about you, Slack? How do you feel about
As for
15?
15, I cannot wait to get my hands on the game. I'm super excited about it. I love basically everything that we saw in that trailer. The attire, changing the characters' clothes, the potential of this Crystarium, whatever they're calling
Ascension.
it. Ascension, yeah,
Ascension.
the Ascension grid. It all looks really, really, really good.
Yeah, I would have paid $60 for what they showed.
Yeah.
I didn't need. I mean, I could see what the kind of they were talking about performance wise. You could see a lot of the hair is very messed up at certain points,
Sure.
and there is some slowdown still. But I would have paid $60 for that. I'll pay. Fuck it. I mean, I gotta spend an extra $30 on the DLC anyway now, even with my Ultimate Edition. So I guess I better friggin' get used to it. Okay, well that's gonna cover that. I don't want to spoil King's Live. I'll just say real quick, I liked it, but it's debatable whether or not it was better than Advent Children for me. The action was really like it was fast to the point where it was hard to keep up at times, and a standalone, it doesn't have much merit. Only knowing how it affects Final Fantasy 15 kind of gives it weight. Without that, it doesn't end very satisfactory. I hated the ending.
Yeah,
Basically.
that's what I figured. It would end as a, hey, look, Final Fantasy 15 is coming soon, setting up for that.
Even before that, it's just like the end could have used work, but the action scenes looked beautiful. The characters were fucking amazing, and it was and I enjoyed the story enough, just not the way it ended. I would have settled for another 30 minutes to like properly explain certain things, essentially.
Have you been keeping up with Brotherhood at all?
Yes, I have. And I still, to me, episode 2 is the best episode of Brotherhood for me.
I haven't. I want to sit down and watch all of them, but I want the last episode to come out now.
Yeah, that'll be out next month.
Okay.
Around this time, like the 10th to the 15th, somewhere in that range. So keep that in mind. And then episode 6 will be when it actually comes out. It'll come with the collector's edition. I'm sure they'll release it online as well. But I think that's going to be a wrap for this week, gentlemen. I think. Unless there's something I don't know about. The English voice actor video is out today. There's more gameplay in that if you want to check out the voice actors. That's another thing that you might want to keep your eye out for. And other than that, I'm just busy wishing it was November 28th so that tomorrow could be the 29th.
Hey, at least it's not on TwitchCon anymore.
Yay! That's great.
You know what? I'm fine with delays. We waited for 13 verses for forever. We got 15. We're waiting for 15.
Now it's continuing.
You know what?
Waited
I'm
10
fine.
years.
Even if they were to delay it another year, I would still be happy.
No, I wouldn't. Nope, that would.
I'd be
I
happy.
A
would-
year, that's a
I would not-
long time.
Even if they do it, I would
not
still
settle.
be
I would
happy.
be really angry. I would be like, that would be like, I'm still gonna buy it, but fucking please.
No. I'd rather them have solid gameplay than put out a shitty version, and that is what scares me right now, that they have changed that mechanic so many times and shown it to public.
I'm just happy I have
That
time for
scares
World
me.
of Final Fantasy. Got time for that now. All right, gentlemen. I think we should wrap this up then. Remember, everyone, Final Fantasy VII is next week. I would ask what
boy.
version we're playing, but it doesn't matter because all the versions are just remakes of the same version. Steam, PS1, PS4, whatever. They're all.
Well, the Steam version, the PC version, they have those shitty MIDI files.
I don't know. I didn't mod mine.
They fixed it last
they
year.
fix that
Only,
that one?
only 8 has the shitty MIDI files.
So,
Yeah.
But they've never gone back and fixed it for 8? Wow.
No.
8 really is the redheaded stepchild of the series.
That says whatever a lot. That's what I learned.
Whatever.
Whatever. Anyway. So Final Fantasy VII next week. Are you guys, because the PS4 version has cheats, you guys gonna mess with those? Because now we're starting to get into territory where they have a lot of cheats. In 7,
They're just
8,
like,
9,
here,
10,
we want you to win the
13.
game. Because in 9, don't they make it so that you can like start with all abilities or something?
So Final Fantasy 9
And no encounters?
You can so there's 4 temporary cheats and there's 3 or 4 permanent cheats. So once you do them, they can't be undone. The temporary ones are the speed up, which is fucking ridiculous. The speed up is like 12,000% speed. It's uncontrollable.
Oh, man.
There's the auto battle. There's auto trance. It fully refills HP, MP, trance, and like something else. There's the instant 9999, which all of your attacks do 9999. And then there's no encounters. And then the permanent ones are like max level, all abilities unlocked, max skill, and like one other thing. So I will say this though, I didn't realize Final Fantasy 9 has about like a 12 to 15 second startup between every encounter, even on Steam. So that speed up becomes really valuable for grinding. I just want to put that out there real quick. So it's incredibly valuable for getting through. Fuck stealing. But anyway, let's wrap this up right here so you guys can get onto your streams. Morag, why don't you Shout yourself out first. You could do a little plug here at the end.
I've had a terrible week. My mouth hurts, canker sores of the devil, and I play video games. Come watch me at twitch.tv/tehMorag.
I'm Slackaholicus at slackaholicus.tv, and I can't top that, but I'll try anyway. I'm playing Final Fantasy VI right now. I'm still not done with it because I had a terrible week last week, and this week is looking to be no different because my cat threw up on my blue screen right off camera.
I just want to see a video of
Come
this.
watch me play video games. And
What do you think? He just
talk
records
Final Fantasy.
the screen so you can see his cat vomits? Like he just has a video.
I
of
just
this?
want to see a cat puking vertically. Projectiles. Like,
It was taken down. There's here. Look, there's PVC pipe holding it up right now.
There you go, and I can see the vomit. There you go. See? It's barely noticeable until you know it's vomit.
Yeah.
It
If
just
you
looks
know
like,
it's
oh, wow, the
vomit,
lighting's
otherwise
really
it's
weird
fine.
right there. And I am the other guy, Mr. Happy. Mr.
Twitch.tv/the other guy.
Yeah, twitch.tv/the other guy. You can find with Will
I wonder if
Ferrell.
that's a channel.
With Will Ferrell and whatever the fuck, Marky Mark. And then you can find me Mr. Happy127 everywhere. I am actually going to be streaming from the Square Enix channel tomorrow, flying up to San Francisco to stream Deus Ex Mankind Divided from
you're
there.
going to do it from the Razor store, right?
Yes, that is correct. That's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to flying up to San Francisco. And I'm currently on Final Fantasy 9 because I'm an asshole compared to these two. And I just don't stop. It's not my fault. Final Fantasy 7 and 8 were way quicker than I thought they were going to be. Like 8, I demolished that game. It was not even fair.
Yeah, that'll happen when you get Lionheart on disc 1.
I mean, that'll also
I'm going to be
when
getting Lionheart on disc 1 for everybody wondering, by the way.
And that it doesn't help that I junctioned 100 tornadoes from Abyssworm cards because 5 windmills. Yeah, I know a lot of ways to fuck that game in the ass. And let's just say that there's no lube in this one. So that's when it comes to Final Fantasy 8. But anyway, guys, we're going to wrap things up. These two are going to go do their own streams. So if you want to watch more awesome Final Fantasy stuff during the week, because I know that they have different agendas on weekends sometimes, like Morag over here.
Yeah, like this weekend I'll be playing some Deus Ex.
There you go. See? So if you're interested in that, definitely be sure to throw these
I
two
wish
a
I had
follow.
time for it.
And what you do, just make time.
I'm trying, trust me.
Slacker. Anyway, I read the shirt. But anyway, so we're going to wrap things up. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. We will see you next week for a discussion about Final Fantasy VII and Sephiroth. There you go.
Bye.